'Cause every time we try to break it down and build again, yeah, every time we try to make up for something lost, you know, we're never letting go. This time we can reach the sky on a prayer, we go higher than high. Yeah, wide awake, it's a big mistake, 'cause it's something we can deny. But with a love like this, we'll never fall all of a sudden.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Hollis-Tics. I'm your host, Nate. And I hope everyone's having a great day out there. If you're around the world, wherever you may be tuning in or listening, maybe you're listening to the radio. We are actually on the radio as well. We are broadcasting live all over the world with our network, Voice of the People USA Radio and Television Network. So you may be tuning in right now in real live time, or you may be watching this later on a replay. You stumbled across this girl and said, hey, maybe I'll check this out. Well, I am your host, Hollis-Tics, and this is Holistic. We are on episode, I believe, episode number 9 tonight. And this song in the background, I just decided to put it on. It's called Feeding the Ducks. It's amazing. I love music. It's amazing. I always say, like, the way music really could change the tone, obviously, right? And we're just kind of vibing. You know, you might be scrolling past. Some people may be in this vibe and like, oh, okay, let's check this out. And it's all mellow. And then you put something else on. It's like, let's do it, guys. We're going to do it. Today's Hollis-Tics, and you're tuning in. Welcome. Oh, because imagine movies without, sometimes I'll, especially when we're watching our favorite show at the moment, 24, and you'll hear a scene and it's like, it's so exciting and you're on the edge of your seat, but it's because of the music. And then sometimes I'll be like, imagine if that music wasn't there. It really makes or breaks the show, right? I mean, the show is great anyway, but without that music in certain scenes in horror movies, like the music is such a vibe. That's why music, I love music. It's so important. It's so important in the world. So how's everybody doing tonight? Again, I am your host, Hollis-Tics. We're going to get some of the housekeeping out of the way in the beginning here. As you see to my right over there, we got the QR code. If you're just joining in for the first time, you're like, why the heck would I give her money? But hey, maybe you're feeling generous. Maybe you have a lot of money you don't know what to do with. Well, we could certainly use it over here. All the tips support the show. So go over, scan that QR code with your phone. And you could do a one-time donation or drop a tip in the jar. Again, all the tips support the show. I am an independent artist. We do everything independently ourselves. We are not trust fund kids. We are not independently wealthy. So every piece of equipment here was funded out of my pocket and out of my partner's pocket. And that includes all this lovely microphone that sounds good. The lovely camera that has been a bad little camera last night. And I'll get into that in a second here. But again, I am an independent artist. I'm a musician, a creator, a content creator, and the host here of Hollis-Tics. And I said, I'm showing up. I'm just going to show up consistently every night. We are on episode 9, as I said. Today is Tuesday. We got through Tuesday. If everyone's still alive, which you are if you're here and watching this, thank God. I give yourself a little round of applause. I don't know if anyone told you today. If they didn't, I'm here to tell you, you're doing good. Keep going. Okay. Hang in there. Hang in there. You got this. You got this. Sometimes my applause over here, I'm going to do a little test because I do watch these podcasts back. Not the whole thing sometimes. The first week I did, Dan a joke. He's like, you like watching yourself? I'm like, no, I want to see what's working and what's not. And I have to make compilations. I do everything myself. So if I have to make compilations of things, I have to see what part I have to use. But let's see if this applause is a little bit better. So one more time, in case you may be having a down day and you need a little bit of lift and no one told you, you are awesome. Give yourself a round of applause. Here we go. So which one's better? Which one's better? I don't know. You tell me in the chat room. We'll go over to the chat room. I just want to tell you real quick as we're taking care of the housekeeping here. We can watch this on Rumble. This is live on Rumble. It should be live on the Facebook. I think it's on my personal page. It should be broadcasting live. Maybe it's on Instagram tonight. It should be. It's also on Voice of the People USA Radio and Television Network. So if you actually have Roku TV or Fire TV or Apple TV, and maybe you're on a phone right now and you're like, hey, I have that, head over to Roku TV, type in VOP USA. It should come up actually. And we are on the TV as well. So I'm actually on television as well. So what I was going to say that I forgot to do, and it's funny because for the first time in 9 episodes, I had a little bit of time and I was sitting here beforehand and I was looking at the soundboard. I'm like, "Ooh, there's a chirp." And I didn't know how to work it the other night. That's why I had a helium voice stuck on there. But there's labels and I was like, "Oh, if we tell a joke," and I will look into the chat room in it momentarily. I see a couple comments in there, but it's gonna say hello to everyone. I love when there's people in the chat room. It makes it more fun because you never know where the conversation can go. But if someone tells a joke tonight, we have the drum roll. Well, that's not a drum roll. That's a rim shot. That's what it says. That's like the punchline. Okay. So we got that taken care of. And of course, one of my favorites is the oh, not that, but I love that. Yeah, that is one of my new favorites. Because life can be magical. When you get in the humdrum of life and the matrix and it's the 3D world and the bills and you're like, but then you come to Hollis-Tics. And we take a break from all that BS. Even if it's for a couple of hours, it's like, you know what? Connect back to the source. Life is good again, right? Especially when you get home from work and you're like, and you're back to yourself and you get to go and whatever you're looking forward to all day, reading your book or whatever it is, cooking dinner or eating, watching a TV show, working on your hobby, your passion, what you really go playing the song. You're like, back in. I'm alive again, right? It's like, so that's the sound we use that. But I was going to say, this is what happens when you post a video sometimes, or when you post a video and no one watches it. Or you're like, I just put out my new reel and I put so much time, I tagged everyone and I hashtagged everyone and I put the little @ sign so they look at it and I put a brand new video out on YouTube and it has anybody see it? Oh, the algorithm. I haven't cracked the algorithm yet. We'll get there, guys. We'll crack that algorithm. We'll crack other things. Screw the algorithms tonight. We are on Hollis-Tics here. So, as I said, www.hollismahady.com. I don't think I actually said that yet. But that's my website. I'm a musician. My music is coming out soon. I promise I'm working on it. But support the show right up there if you're interested. And to all those who have bought me a coffee and are so generous, thank you so much. Again, that's what I forgot to do, Dan. I was going to say, I'm talking to Dan because we're sitting here and I was like, wanted to get my cup ready with my names in it. So later we'll do that. We'll say that to the end because we're going to pull a winner tonight because of all of you generous folk out there. We hit the $100 goal. So that definitely deserves a large round. That means one lucky winner is going to get one of these bad boys. These bad boys. So a signed lyric sheet from me to you from my brand new album. And I'm going to pick because I've done all my songs. So I will pick what I think is appropriate to send to the winner because most likely I'll know the winner because I know the people who've donated. So if I could find it, I don't know if I have it up here. It's right here. It's the lyric sheet, the one here. There you go. That shows everything because I don't have the other one. But we will do that later this evening. So we have a good show planned, but we're just going to shoot. I'm trying not to curse. I would say have a censor button. I'm being really good, not cursing. But we're going to chew the fat. As I said, my mom would say that sometimes. That's like an old fashioned saying. We're going to go chew the fat, whatever that means. Again, if I had my soundboard operator. That's what I learned is the technical term. It's not a producer. It's a soundboard op. But we may be having one of those tomorrow. Tom may be coming to the show. So I have to go into the chat room because I want to see who's in there tonight and say hi and greet everybody for coming in. All right. We got Jim Tim in the house. No blurry videos. Please. We're going to see what happened last night. Yes. And I'm going to explain what that means in a minute. Hollis, Jim Tim's here. Let's go. Let's go. LFG. Let's freaking go. In the words of Yoga Carrie. I don't think Carrie will say it. I don't like to use people's last names, and I'm not sure why. Am I not allowed? I think I'm allowed to, but just in case, privacy or whatever. So I call him Carrie Yoga Mat. If he says it's okay, then I'll use his last name because Carrie, he said, LFG, let's freaking go. He's a good energy person. And we got Maga Dirt Biker in the house. Love Maga Dirt Biker. Joe, good evening, Hollis. I found a voice changer app for video, so I was doing some experimenting after I cut the grass. You found one on your computer or on your phone there? Awesome. A voice changer app. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, right? It makes it fun if you can go back to your regular voice when you need to. It might get stuck on the helium. Oh. So good evening to you guys. I love you. Thank you for being here. We got the whippersnapper here. Shoot the whippersnapper. We were talking about that last night. A whippersnapper. You little whippersnapper. You little whippersnapper, you. Okay. So, yes, this is what happened last night. And I wasn't mad, but I was just like, man. So this camera, again, we congratulated her at episode 9. It's a big feat considering a week and a half ago, it was my first episode and I've been wanting to do this podcast for like 5 years. I've been talking about doing it. Hollis-Tics. I was like, I kept telling people I have a show, but it wasn't here. It was never here yet. I'm like, I have a show. It's coming. It's coming. That's the thing. I do say what I'm going to do, but unfortunately things just take a long time. I usually always follow through what I try to anyway. Like, I have a lot coming. It takes a long time sometimes. It takes a lot longer than you expect because this silly little thing, how's life, gets in the way. Yeah. Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. And was that John Lennon said that in one of his quotes? I mean, I think it was him. Again, board op Tom. He's not here. He was gonna maybe be here tonight, but I think he's coming tomorrow because he generously offered his time to come in and help produce or board up the show. So when I say something, he'll be able to pull it up there. If I do a funny joke, he'll be able to go. And it will just make the show flow. So yes, this happened last night. So I watched the show back and I was very excited because I think it was featured on Rumble. And I was like, oh my gosh, it has a lot of views. A lot of people are watching it. I was like, whoa, that's awesome. So it had over 10,000 views on Rumble. And for, again, anyone watching the other episodes, I sound like a broken record, but a lot of times you put up your videos and it's like, no, it's not like that. It's like, so I was very excited to see that it was on Rumble and it had a lot of people were watching it and had like over 10,000 views. And, it's all about the views, guys. What are your view counts and what are your follower counts? Still, like, we can work on that. So if you're not following, drop a follow. It really helps us out. But yeah, I was very excited about it. And so I went and what we have done every other night so far. That was episode 8. 7 nights previously, no problem at all. I didn't do anything different with the camera, so I thought. But I went to watch the episode back and it was all blurry. I was like, really? The whole episode? And it looked fine and it looked clear. Now, I hope this doesn't happen again, but it looks good here. To me, it's clear. It's not all blurry. And Dan is always watching it. And he said it looked fine to him when live. But then when I watched it back, everywhere it was, it's really blurry and pixelated. I'm like, man. So I like to cut clips from my shows and stuff. So I can't really use that because it's all blurry. And we had a good time last night. We talked a lot about diets and our crock pots and our cooking and everything, motorcycles. It's too bad. But you know what? That's why you got to catch the live show. Because I think the live show should always be clear. So you got to make it here live if you can at 7 p.m. Eastern time every night, Monday through Friday. Not every night. Weekdays, Monday through Friday. And Friday, we have our TGIF Friday episode. So we will be reminiscing about the 80s. As I said, this show is for everybody. Everybody is obviously welcome. But, I say we're the real humans here. We are the last of the generation in our age. My age, 80s, was born in the 80s. You guys do the math. 80s, 70s, 60s. We are the generation who still remembers, I call it what do we call that generation? Before the phones, but it's like we call it the hide and seek generation or with this till the street lamps came on. The hide and seek generation where I'm sure maybe kids still play hide and seek. Remember those games like go out and I call it the hide and seek generation. So we'll just call it that. So everybody is obviously welcome. It doesn't matter how old you are. But on Fridays, we talk about the 80s stuff that, you might not know about it if you weren't born in the 80s or, lower 70s, 60s, 50s, but you could also learn about it because they had some really cool stuff. So, this is what happened. So, last night after I saw all the blur, I was like, I'll just make a little in real time video. So, let me see if I could play this here. This is what happened last night. Video. Those videos where it's like POV and then it says what happens. Point of view video. Those videos where it's like POV and then it says what happens. Point of view. You finished your 3-hour live stream, episode 8 of Hollis-Tics, your new podcast, and you find yourself in your lovely vanity with your perfume collection to the left and your walk-in shower or double door closet to the right. And you go and you watch it back and you see it's on Rumble and it already has 10,000 views. And then you watch it back and it's all blurry. And then you realize your camera was on the wrong setting on the frame rates per second per minute. So unfortunately, Hollis-Tics episode 8 is a bit blurry. And it's unfortunate. But I'm keeping it real here. This is the journey. And the camera, we will get you back. Hopefully this isn't blurry. But you can still listen to the audio. You can still watch it. To use your imagination and imagine what I would look like if I was in 4K and not 1080p or the frame rate wasn't. So tune in tomorrow to Hollis-Tics episode 9, where I will be telling a very emotional story. I hope to see you there.
Hollis-Tics, weeknights live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time across all.
I can remove that. Oh, I'm back there. And we are back. So that was my, again, the problems are getting less as I was very open and admitted I've been dating multiple streaming services and I have yet to find the perfect service. And I compared it to guys. Is there really the perfect person? Is there really the perfect streaming service? Because somebody needs to make something that makes it easier for the content creators out there or the streamers. I mean, we are on Rumble. I see some eyeballs over there. It means there are some people in here. Anybody else have problems streaming? It's a lot. It's a lot to learn. I mean, some people, especially the younger generation, you guys are good at it. It's like, oh my gosh. Anyway, it's kind of boring if you don't know what I'm talking about. But the OBS and all that, I'm like, oh gosh, no. So our problems are getting a little bit less and less. There's still always something to do, of course, making videos and content, but that's the fun part. It's technical stuff that I hate. And like I said, was so grateful that Tom is a busy bee. I get it. He's doing similar stuff to what we're doing. He's always dealing with streaming, but he did offer when he's available if he could pop in and he does things behind the stage there. So he could do the little, when I tell a joke, he could do that without me being like, where's the button? It just kind of loses its effect when you're doing it yourself. But the show must go on. The show must go on. So that was the little bit of, I'm going to say drama, but that was like last night. I was like, but you can't get upset about these things. You just have to be happy and just move forward and keep going. Keep going. So over in the chat room, anyone else out there, you let me know. Here we go. Go down there. We got Holy Moly in the house, MAGA Institute. Holy moly. I love you, Timothy. Timothy is here and he was very helpful because he has a camera. He has the same camera. And I will say the camera is awesome. I actually want to get another camera like this. It's a great camera. And we figured out also it's always moving. So I had to take the setting off. So, you go over there, it follows you and you see I'm in a studio. So you don't want to see my kitchen because I don't have my kitchen in the studio. I'm in a proper studio here. Don't you see? Look at those speakers. They look really cool, right? And that's a backup mic. That one right there. Oh, by the way, right there, hitting goals. You guys anybody hit their goal today? Remember, take it small feats, right? I did what I said I was going to do today. And that was, I made it to the gym. And I swam. And that's why I'm wearing a hat because I didn't have time to wash my hair properly when I got out because I was running to get ready for the show and everything. So my hair is a little damp still, but that's why I decided to throw on my Ohio hat. Today we're representing two things here. We got the Ohio hat because I am in Strongsville, Ohio. only about 15 minutes from Cleveland, Ohio. Sometimes I say Cleveland, Ohio, because I think it sounds a little cooler. But Strongsville's awesome. I love Strongsville. And I am representing Voice of the People USA Radio. And I made this sweatshirt. And I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking a lot about it. We need to have some merchandise. But we do have this. And I spray painted this. This was not spray paint, but it's fabric spray paint. So I'm representing the network because we are on Voice of the People USA Radio and Television Network. And that is a really long name. So we call it VOP USA, Voice of the People USA. So if you hear me saying that, you don't know what it is, that's what it stands for, Voice of the People USA. Because we're here representing the voice of the people, the real people, the human people, the voice of the people. So let's go down here and smash that thumbs up too, guys. Yes, here we go. Smash that thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I've found it very hard for people to follow and subscribe. And then, you know what? I thought about it myself too, but it's like, I don't usually do that either. So maybe you just have to be reminded. And I ask you to do it if you enjoy the show. Of course, a tip goes a long way. A buy me a coffee. But, no, I get it. Everyone's asking you for money, especially you don't know me. Like, why are you asking me for money? So I will ask you, if you can't donate, share it, subscribe, and give it a thumbs up or follow us or whatever, wherever you're watching it. If you're on Rumble, if you're on YouTube, subscribe. The reason why is it helps. I don't know why, but it helps you. And then you get the followers because that's all anybody cares about. But that could eventually lead to money and some sponsors. But we're gonna manifest. No, as I said last night, we're gonna co-create. We're co-creating with God. And I always, I talked about it in my video last night, but we're never really fully in control. I don't think. That's my opinion. We're co-creating. So you put it out there, you work, you do your part, and you ask and you believe in something higher working for your benefit or for the greater good for you, not the greater good for you. I think the world and the universe and God, it wants you to be happy. It wants your success. It wants you to succeed. So when you do it together and it's not just you thinking, I got to do this. I think that there's magic in that. So we are going to co-create a sponsor together, and we're going to co-create some funding for this show because God knows I need it. And it would really help because then the lovely person like Tom who comes in, I could throw him some money because I like to share the love. But, because we got to take care of each other. We got to help each other, especially independent people doing it themselves. So we're doing it ourselves. There's, people on Rumble get paid millions of dollars to do one podcast. Good for them. I'm not jealous, like sour grapes. You're getting it all and we're not, but there is an imbalance. There's a lot of people don't make any money and they spend a lot of money because it costs me $25 a month just to stream on Rumble. And just to stream on Rumble, like you have to be paying for it. X is another one. You have to have an account if you want to stream on there. It's $11 for that. So there's $36 right there just to stream on two platforms, and like I said, it's great. I guess it's like they're getting paid millions of dollars for one episode, but if you get sick of those people, you come over and support those other voices out there. So we're here for the real. And hopefully Tom will be here tomorrow night. And I would love for him to pop on and so you guys could meet him. I did do a podcast with him. That's how we met, actually, because his other host of his show, No Skips, his co-host, Jessica, she was in the chat room last night. She's not here tonight. I don't see her yet. Maybe she'll pop in. But she was the host of that. She is the host of that. And I forgot what I was going to say because I looked at the comment there and then I lost my train of thought. But Tom is great. And hopefully he'll pop in. That's how I met him. Yes. On No Skips. So I was a guest on their podcast and that's on my YouTube channel. If you want to check it out, I should probably put it up on the Rumble as well. But he's great. And he's going to come in and he has the ability to pop on screen and talk because as I said in few other podcasts, we are going to be having guests. The first week, I didn't want to bring a guest on where I'm like, oh, how do I work? And then, you have to figure this all out. But I think we're getting it down. So probably, not this week, but I'm thinking the following week may have a guest. And then we got to think about the Easter and stuff because I'm going away. So I'm kind of figuring out, can I bring my setup and do my shows? Should I play reruns? Oh, I don't know if I should play reruns. I want to be consistent. So we'll see what happens. But it's all those things you have to think about when you're behind the scenes of hosting your own show, daily show now, like I am. Hollis-Tics here, and I am Hollis Mahady, your host, if you're just tuning in. So, with that said, let's go over to some of the videos. We have the comment of the day, and I pre-recorded a segment for this show because if you are watching on the Rumble, and I believe it's on YouTube, I think I updated it. I have a thumbnail up there. It's different from the one I'm usually using, the Hollis-Tics one, and because I recorded a video Sunday to play for today, because I played some stuff last night, and I was like, I'll save that for Tuesday. So this episode, I do have a story, and I won't play it yet. I'm just kind of explaining it a little bit. I always wanted to tell this story, and if you've been watching the last couple episodes, we started talking about our animals and stuff, and I kept telling them, like, there's a story about Tinkle Paw, and no one knows who that is or why I'm talking about it, but I wanted to tell the story, and it's a really magical story, and I was kind of debating, should I put this out or not? I wasn't debating. I want to tell the story, but it does get sad. So I was like, I don't know. Should I play this video? I mean, the video it's long. It's about 50 minutes. So it's going to be like, maybe I'll start playing it at 8 o'clock and we'll do that and maybe come back and talk about it or something. But maybe around 8 o'clock, I'll play it. The whole video is not sad. There's just like 5 minutes. I'm like, should I cut that? I started crying because I can't tell this story without crying. So it's just a fair warning. Either you might not be crying because it's not like, when someone tells a story, you have empathy and you feel it, but you're not going to be crying. But I try not to cry. And then I was like, should I cut that part out? And I'm like, you know what? You keep it real here. We're keeping it real. Like, positive. I'm a positive person, but you have your moments. So I was like, I don't know, but I don't want to make anyone sad. So if you don't want to watch it, I would watch it, I think it's around minute 40, like 40 to 45, those 5 minutes where I'm like shedding a little tear. I have my tissue. So it's a fair warning. But the moral of the story, the whole it's a very magical story, but it has a sad ending. But it has a happy ending. It depends on what way you look at it, right? So I will play that, but that's the thumbnail that's up there, and it says it's the story of the magical story of the angel cat, Kitkat Tinkle Paw. And I'm looking forward to playing it. So maybe around 8 o'clock we'll play that. And again, fair warning, if you're not want to be sad, it's not, like I said, it's not sad, the whole thing. It's worth watching. But if you're one of those who are like, oh no, I don't know, then don't watch it and then just tune back in 40 minutes later. Okay, but I don't want you to go away. So maybe I shouldn't be saying this. I don't know, producer. Should I have said that? Oh, I don't know. Yes, we're keeping it real here. That's why I'm going to cut out the crying. For many years, you always had to put on a mask and be like, it's the worst when you're like, you can't really show how you feel, and people hold back their tears. And it's not good for you. Actually, it's supposed to put your tears out there because you think if you hold it in, it could make you even more sad. I think it can lead to disease as well. Like if you're always holding in stress or sadness, it's okay to cry. Crying is a release. Doesn't you know how you hold it in and you're like, and what's wrong? Nothing. And you just want to cry. And then you feel better when you do cry. I mean, it's not always great in the moment, but then you're like, after it all comes out, you're like, I feel better. That's why it's wonderful having a loving relationship with an emotional, mature man who gets it. Here's a dating tip for the guys out there. If you're married, if you're single, look, obviously you probably know this. Women are way more emotional. But I think guys are emotional too, but they're programmed to not share it as much. Like, oh, you shouldn't cry. Crying's weak and it's not for men and stuff like that. Actually, Tom would be a good person to talk to about this. Tom is, like I said, he's going to hopefully be here tomorrow. He's from the Cole County Entertainment, and he has a podcast. I don't know if he's the host. He's on it as well, but it's like a men's mental health podcast. And they talk about all this stuff. And I tuned in for one episode and they were talking about that, like about guys crying and stuff. And should you not cry? And, why is that? So I think it's okay to cry. It's a good release. And just like I said, you just have to get it out. So it is nice when you have a partner or someone who understands and you're not having to hide it and be like, oh, I'm fine. And what's really wrong? And sometimes he'll be like, What's wrong? I know there's something wrong. And he cares enough to ask because he knows me so well. But I've been in a relationship. Excuse me, I have an itchy nose. Sorry. Um, he knows me enough to know he's like, there's something wrong. And sometimes I'm like, nothing's wrong, or sometimes I'd be annoyed, but he cares enough to be like, what it is? What is it? Because girls have to talk about their emotions. And it kind of got for guys are like, oh gosh, no, like, oh no, right? They always say for a man, like the word the words they don't want to hear is we need to talk, right? 4 words or we need to talk. That's 4 words, yes. Or we gotta talk. We gotta talk. It's only 3 words. But you know what I mean. We need to talk. Because the women, they need to talk about their feelings. They need to talk it out. They always say, how girls go with their girlfriends and they're like, they just want to talk. We gotta catch up. We gotta talk. And guys just, they're wired different. They're not there like talking about their feelings and emotions. But that's the mystery, right? Why you're always attracted to like, ooh, what is that? So guys out there, you gotta understand the woman's emotions, or you don't have to. I don't think you ever will, but you gotta pretend at least. You should try more. But like the worst thing when a girl is like crying and they're like, oh, what's wrong? Oh, get over it. Or do you have PMS? Don't say that to a girl when she's mad. Or if you want more of her being mad, don't ever say that. Oh, it must be that time of the month. Don't say that. Mm-mm. It makes girls more mad because they may not be mad just because of that. If you need to talk, money, money, money. Yeah, honey, show me the money. If you're enjoying this dating advice, drop a tip in the tip jar. Go to hollismahady.com and buy me a coffee. I said I used to be a bartender and I used this example. All I did was pour a drink and I would get $1 every time. And here I'm pouring wisdom, years of hurt and heartbreak and trauma. Not so much trauma, but you know what I'm saying. And I'm pouring that into wisdom and giving you dating advice. So you could tip me $1 if you like. You don't have to do much more, $1. You tip $1 and you're going to be in the running for a lyric sheet. So, because we're going to do our drawing at the end of the night, because we did hit our goal. Because of the kind-heartedness of all of you guys out there. That one goes really long. But we did hit our goal, and I appreciate it. So thank you so much. So remember, and if you have any questions, drop them in the chat room. It's good. Tell me about your relationships. Relationships are a big one. And like I said, I could talk from a place of a little bit more, I don't know, experience, I guess. Like, now that I finally found a good relationship and, it took a long time to get there. It wasn't, you had to work on yourself. And I did do that for a long time in between these things. And then you finally, you don't want to settle anymore. You're like, no more bad relationships. I just want to be alone. And that's usually, at least in my experience, you always hear that, right? You're pushing, you're looking, and when you finally give up, you find it. You're not looking. It's like that synonym or that, my phone is ringing. It's robocaller. How dare you interrupt my podcast, robocaller? What was I saying? Oh, yes. Like when the dam breaks, or, when you're like, it's like a door, right? You're pushing and pushing. Just like I always use the example. I think there's something to be said for it. You're trying, because we're big, huge people, right? But we're trying to do things on our schedule and we're going to get it to work. And you're trying to get in the door or whatever. And you say alone, like, no, it's not, we'll talk about that. Right. Yeah. I'll address that in a second, but let me finish the damn analogy. You're fighting, you're trying to do it. Just like with music, you're just like, or jobs, right? Dan's applying for 100 jobs. Like, hopefully this will happen. You just put it out there. Eventually it'll come, but you're trying to do everything you can. And, God love you. We're trying here. But sometimes, like I said last night, the goal. You want the job. You want the sponsor. You want the thing. And yes, you can't just sit there, like I said last night, and just hope it just comes. Like, I hope to, manifest a new car. and not like do anything. Like you got to save for a down payment or whatever. Like you're hoping it comes. Maybe it's not the best example. But the point is sometimes when you just try and you're trying and trying and trying everything you think and you kind of just let it go. It's like a door. It's like you keep, the door, and then you kind of just let it go. And sometimes it'll open on its own. Does that ever happen to anybody? Or maybe it's not the best example, but I think you know what I'm saying. You're trying so hard. And sometimes it's just like, oh, I've done everything and it's in God's hands, you say. I think if it wants it to happen, it happen. It's hard. It's very hard. Especially like with jobs and stuff. I compare it, and Dan doesn't mind, I don't think, me saying, he's looking for a new job. And, it's just, it's not easy. It's you're trying and you're trying, and it's disappointment after disappointment. Well, you get so close and then doesn't get the job and someone else gets it. And it's just like, sometimes I say this a lot: divine timing, divine protection, divine intervention. There's maybe reasons you don't get that job. That's the one thing that always makes me feel better. As I really do believe in God, and he always guides us where we have to go and land eventually. That's what I believe. Not everyone believes that, and that's okay. But that's how I think. And I say, sometimes, oh, good thing I didn't take that job. Maybe whatever, God forbid, would have been an accident, or it would have led to something where you met somebody who was a weird, creepy stalker and they ruined your life. I don't know, so you just have to trust in the plan. And it is not easy because we have our own plans and we are on our own timeline and we want things now. It's like, no, I don't need I need the money now. Maybe I need it right now. I need the record deal right now. I need the freaking new partner right now. But they're just like, no, just wait. We'll deliver something to you, but just have patience. Hold in there. Hold out, But let's see. So Tim says, you say alone like it's a bad thing. Right. It's weird because it's Dan and Hollis for president, right? Thank you. That's funny. It reminds me of House of Cards. Claire. And that was the woman. What was her real name? I forget. And who's Kevin Spacey? What was his name? Francis. House of Cards is one. That's a political show. I don't know. I had to watch it with Dan because he could explain it to me. But talk about a power couple. Watch that. We won't get into that. But Tim says, you say alone like it's a bad thing. Well, that's the thing. It's just, let's face it. I think people, if you're with the right person, obviously, it's fun. People say you have someone to do life with, and because you want that, like I was alone for so long, and I say I was alone for so long. You might be like, well, I always remember you dating someone, but when you're with someone and you still feel alone, it's better to be alone. It's like if you find the right person and partner, and yeah, it's good. You have someone you can rely on. It's tough to be alone sometimes too, just because it's hard to meet friends in this world, I think, especially when you're older. Just someone you could rely on if to pick you up at the airport, or you need, whatever. But at the same time, too, it's like you want your peace as well. So if there's someone with drama, or I've gone out with a lot of different types of people, and everybody has their issues. Everyone has their drama and their baggage. It's like, how many bags of baggage do you have, because it becomes yours. And, it also depends on where you are in life. When you grow out of it and then you present it again, you're, what's it called? You're patient, or you can't deal with it anymore. You see the red flags and you're like, oh gosh, I've been there, done that. No more, so, but I think being alone is not bad, because I always say you're not truly alone. Like I said, it's nice when you have someone you can rely on, because this life is hard, and it's hard without a friend or a partner sometimes. But at the same time, it's like liberty, freedom is also nice. Not liberty. Liberty, freedom. But if you're with the right person, you still feel free. Because when you're with a jealous person, and I'm a bit of a weird person. I think, I'm very independent, and I just want to do my own thing. And I was always very like, I'm a mission. I'm like on a mission. I'm trying to, like, I want to do this, blah, 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 like music and podcast and build a business. And some people just don't understand that. You have to be with someone who's compatible, who understands that. So I think it's important to find someone. That's why got with Dan and everything, he was doing his thing and our missions aligned. And so we're always working, but he's not annoying like, oh, you're always on the computer. Why aren't you paying attention to me? And I've been with guys like that who just don't get it because they didn't have their own mission. And they're like, I live for you. And I'm like, that wasn't very attractive to me. I was like, get a life, you know? I know that sounds mean, but you can't just live for someone else. You have to, that's why I say, I think when two people come in and they have worked on themselves and they have their own hobbies and interests, with Dan and I, we do work together. So we have a similar shared mission, but he has his own thing too. He does his thing. And I think that's important because there's definitely different kinds of loves. And I've experienced some of that love where it's just like, oh, I live and die for you. And it's that real love? No, it's toxic. It might be, attraction at first. And it's just that, but then it gets boring and you're just like, okay, I really don't actually like you at all. So you always hear that thing about physical, like lust or just, you're just coming back for the sex or whatever is good. But do you like the person at all? I'm like, ugh, so what's more important, But anyway, so there's so much different things, and the grass is always greener, oh, you want to be single and free, but then when you're single, you're like, I want someone. Then when you're with someone, especially if it's the wrong person, you're like, oh, remember when I was single and Friday nights? And so I don't know. Any other relationships questions down here? Hello, Travis and Charlene are in the chat room. Good evening, guys. Thanks for popping by. It's so nice to have you here. MAGA Institute. Yes, I know what his rule is. Rule number 1. Yep. My shadow has never let me down. He is always right by my side. And that's what I say, again, coming from a place of wisdom. Hey, Hollis, I got asked, have ever thought about singing some 80s songs on an album? I think you would nail them. Oh, I got asked, have I ever thought about it? 80s for sure. I did a cover. It's out there somewhere. I wonder if I could find it. Of Love is a Battlefield by Pat Benatar. Yeah, 80s songs for sure. I am an 80s baby. But I like the rock and roll, Joan Jett. I was in a cover band forever. We sang loads of 80 songs, lots of them. So yeah, I definitely, I would love, oh, what's the other one? I love Heart, that song alone. I like that song. That's a hard song to sing. She's good. But I could sing it. I would get my karaoke track and have that song. And I'd be like, in Maine. No one would hear it. I was like, I'm going to sing this someday for everybody. But no, that's a good idea. I was actually thinking today about doing a cover song, not a cover song, but our Friday night song. There's a guy singing it because it's AI generated. I'm honest about that one. It's not my song. I wrote some of the lyrics, but such a good song. So maybe I could re-record it and we'll do a video for it. But yes, Pat Benatar. Hit me with your best shot. You're a real tough cookie with a long history of breaking hearts, with the one in me. And then, of course, I love rock and roll. That's Joan Jett. But so we're bouncing. Yes, 80s for sure. And then, sorry, Tim, I didn't mean to. Yes, but to wrap up the relationship stuff. Okay, I mean, we'll never wrap it up, right? Because you could go on and on about it. And it really depends on where you are in life. You have to go through a lot of things to, maybe you don't have to. People are different, right? I have friends from high school. They got married when they were in high school. They're still married to the same person. They have kids with them. And it's just different paths, right? It's like sometimes I'm like, man, gosh, they didn't have to go through these talks. Or they found their high school sweetheart and they had the kids and they settled down. And then there's the rest, like some of the rest of us are like, what happened? Then I had like 8,000, like, I guess because I just was on a weird path and I lived in different places. And LA, oh God. I tried to date in LA. LA is the worst because you talk about trying to find a guy in LA or something because it's all full with like LA. It's full with all models and singers and everything. And they're just like, oh, where's the next person? There's always the next person they could go after and be like, oh, I could help you with your career. So no, man. So, with that said, I'm very excited to have everyone here. Anyone have any dating questions? Any more dating questions? Like I said, I could come from but there's other people who have been happily married for many years. That's nice. Like they've been together for so long, but dating's different now, especially, with not AOL, with Facebook and chatting and dating apps and all that. I'm so glad I don't have to date anymore. It's such a relief. It's nice. It's nice. But for those who are single or maybe you didn't find your person, listen, I never thought I was gonna find. I gave up. I was like, oh, because you want someone who really likes your soul and gets you. You could always find someone who's like, oh, you're cute, like I'll be with you, But can they really appreciate you? You want someone to get you, not just because like of your physical or whatever. You want someone who like really could appreciate your sense of humor and your mind and all that, if you have one. Not everybody, not everyone has one, I guess. But you know what I'm saying. So if you're out there and you are single, remember, if you are sad about it, don't be. You have friends and I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm here every night. If you feel alone and you want to come and join and meet some great people in the chat room here, I've always been kind of it just so happens now I'm married and I found a partner, but I've always been like the misfit. Like I was thinking about that today. Like I love this. I love having a podcast. It's fun because being in a band, I miss it because here's the reason why. There's a lot of reasons why, but really being in a band, you were in the center of you were the center of it, right? And people would come, people would come to your shows and like you would have roadies and like people who carry your equipment, like some of them we paid, but like roadies and groupies, like people who liked your band and they would come to the same shows over and over again. And then they would start to be friends. And like all of a sudden you had this little community of different people, all kinds of people. Like there was younger people, older people, like from wherever. And you're just bringing together people. And it was based around like the band because where were they doing? They're going to a show. They were going to see a show. And that happened in the UK a lot too. Like we grew a little following and there was other bands and it was just like, we're going to the show. We're all going to mingle, circulate. No, not circulate. What's the word I'm thinking? When everyone congregates, we're going to the show. And then they would go have drinks before or eat dinner. And you just bring a community in. And that's what kind of the podcast is like. It's like you're back on stage and you're like getting people that you haven't talked to in a long time are coming by. Like, for instance, we'll get into the comment of the day and just people you haven't seen in a while, and you're bringing them back together. And so that's why having a show again, it's cool. It's fun. And like I said, I've always been kind of the I don't know, the misfits. Like I was always like, you have different people from all over and I was always kind of a misfit. I'd just be like, I didn't really feel like I fit in. I was just kind of like, oh, I'm not interested in that. It's kind of boring. So I would just like go do something else. Or I'd always find someone old. I was always talking to someone older in the room because I thought they were more interesting sometimes than people my age. Because I was kind of weird, like an old soul, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. I could see that Pat Benatar. Invincible. That's one I never really sang. No, I never sang that Invincible. I'm trying to remember that one. That one wasn't on my radar as much, I guess. I mean, I can't even really think of the song. I have to think of it. Is that the one where it's like, no, I know it. So Maga Dirt Biker says, I have a mind, but I'm pretty sure it sunk to my left kidney by the time 1977 rolled around. What is that? Like, oh. Let's see what this one is. Hold on. I'm distracted here because I don't want to miss any comments. We got Travis and Charlene still in here. And Timothy. Alone. That song. We'll have to play it. See? But remember, too, being alone and heartbreak and pain, it makes for great art. It's too bad, right? Why does it have to be that brings so much ammunition? I have a couple heartbreak songs on my lyric. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Let's go over here because I didn't get a chance. I went to do it this weekend to do the Comedy of Errors, my other podcast that is for my Buy Me a Coffee members only. Again, if you're new here, if you're enjoying the show, I would love if you followed, liked, and subscribed to the show or put on your bell so you got notified in case you want to see it again. I'd love it if you could share it out, retweet it, or at least, follow and like, because it helps the show here. We are independent. I'm an independent artist. I'm not funded by anyone. We're going to get a sponsor. We're co-creating it with God. We're going to get that sponsor. We're going to get some advertisements. so we could get some more help and we could get the word out about this show for humans. And I say that, people are, what do you mean for humans? We talk a lot about AI here and the robots and things merging. So we're here. We're here. The real people here. We're totally consumed by AI, and we do things are like I write my own music, and we have our own thoughts. You know, you know what I'm saying? So real humans only. Like, you know what I mean saying here. Robots and stuff. Like I said, we can't avoid them. AI is coming. But this is where we remind ourselves what it's really like, what it is to be human. You know, have empathy for people. As I say in some of my first videos, it's just like there's going to be a day where, robots are going to be doing a lot more things, taking over a lot of jobs and things. But we have to remember, like, robots don't have empathy. They don't cry. I mean, I'm sure they'll get them where they're crying and you're getting attached and you're thinking they're real. But at the end of the day, you can't replace the soul. And we are here. And soul is my motto. It's all about soul. What's this? The soul is what's in your heart. It's what moves you. It's the soul is what gives you those ideas that come out. Your imagination, your intuition, like it's all that stuff to your soul. It's your heart. It's what you feed into the chat GBT or you feed into the whatever it is, the AI graphic maker or the Grok or whatever. Yes, they can shoot these things out like in a matter of seconds. Like put in a picture of something funny with a bear with I don't know, a bear with like feathers on his head or like whatever. And it'll shoot it out. But you told them that. So that's the soul. So we're keeping it real here. We're trying to, keep that humanity still. And remember, even in the busy, chaotic world and the technology's changing and it's coming and things are automated and everyone's like, oh my gosh, you gotta learn AI because it's taking over with who cares? Don't do that anymore. You don't even have to read. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to type. You don't have to think. We're going to think. We're going to think and we're going to feel and heal. So all that said, if you're enjoying the show, go right over here to Buy Me a Coffee, and I'll give you just a reminder. If you're enjoying the show,
Are you enjoying the podcast? If you'd like to support what I'm building, you can buy me a coffee. Every bit of support helps me keep this podcast going and release my music independently. You can leave a one-time tip or become a member for a few dollars a month and unlock exclusive content and behind-the-scenes footage you won't find anywhere else. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/Hollis-Mahady or scan the code you see on the screen. When you're truly independent, creating music isn't just art, it's devotion. It's late nights, long days, and pouring your own time, energy, and money into something you believe in, something you feel called to bring into the world. Right now, the world is overflowing with content, music everywhere, so much of it generated in seconds by machines. And somewhere in that noise, real artists are fighting to be heard. The ones who spent years learning their craft, the ones who turned their pain into songs, the ones who kept going when it would have been easier to quit. Most people scroll past without thinking about the soul behind the sound. But if you ever find music that moves you, that heals something in you, that makes you feel less alone, remember, there's a real person behind it. Because good music isn't noise. It's something sacred. If you discover music that speaks to you, support the people who made it, if you can.
and that's what I say sometimes. I say it a lot. Remember, there's a soul behind the song because we are navigating a crazy world. If you go back to episode 1, it's my very first podcast, and I read the Reconnection Movement online, and it's free if you want to download it. It's on my website, or you could go and watch the video. If you have the attention spans for it, I address that too. It's like we have to do something funny, and it's hard. It's there's a lot of stimuli going on, and it's like I talk about it like people don't have attention spans, but it's not really your fault because you are constantly bombarded with, oh, what should I look at? Should I go to Instagram, TikTok? It's scroll. Did that catch my attention? But it's worth watching, and that's why I brought it up. But the Reconnection Movement, here, I'll play that real quick. And if you want to head over to hollismahady.com, join my email list. You can get a free copy of that. You can listen to the episode. And here, this is it.
Download your free copy of the Reconnection Movement today. Just head over to my website, www.hollismahady.com. Go to the podcast sections, scroll to the bottom of the page, and enter your email to get your free copy instantly. Now more than ever, it's important that we reconnect and support real human creators and real people.
So there you have it. Like I said, remember the soul behind the song. There's people behind this. And when you are in an age where you have unlimited music coming to you, there's so much. right? And you sometimes the AI is good. I mean, I play a song, Back to the Good Times, that was generated all by AI, and I think I wanna try to figure out how I could rip those vocals off and sing it myself, at least do that part. But there's so much. So if you find someone you like, that is a real person and they're creating, like myself, I'm not saying just me, but go listen to, I'm gonna be putting out new music. But, I wrote all those songs and they come from a place of wisdom and pain. And it's funny, I just say that wisdom because you go through life and hopefully as you get older, hopefully you get wiser. How do you get wiser? It's through living through bad experiences and good experiences and being like, okay, I have some wisdom now. What wisdom comes from learning from your mistakes and saying, like, for instance, right, a mistake or buying a house and you realize, oh man, you have to live through it and you made mistakes and I didn't finance enough. Oh my gosh, they say it's a school of life, right, Smurgs? The school of life, and it's an expensive education. The school of life. And if you can take wisdom from that and then pass that on to people, right? I watched something last night, and this is where if I had Tom, I would say, hey Tom, can you find that clip? But it was a guy, it was just on Instagram again, another reel, and he was like, artists these days, he said something very smart. He said about it was about musicians but it was just like when you're younger, you have the enthusiasm and the energy. But when you're older and you're an artist or a musician, you have that wisdom. You have maybe again, I'm not saying this for younger artists that they don't have good songs. It's that some of them really do. But when you have that pain or in that uh, experience, and you're really writing truly from the heart, sometimes you connect more because you might have a song that really hits, and you wouldn't have written that if when you were 15 or 20 because you didn't live through it. You didn't live through that heartbreak, and I know that too because for a long time I didn't even know how to write songs. I was like, what am I going to write about? I was trying to like, what should I write something like this? Because I didn't have that experience yet, that life experience. Man, I got that life experience now. I went out, I did a lot of things, and now I'm writing about it years later, the stuff I lived through. And he said in the video, he said that's why even this day and age, the music business has changed. It's good. It's good that you hear, and I heard this for a long time as well. Oh, you're too old. You're too old to be in the music business now. Even when I was in the music business and I got kind of a break and I was getting out there, I was in my late 20s. And at that point, that was considered old. And I'm thinking, it's just like, so a lot of times the older artists and people who are doing music now, there is an audience for it, because real people want real songs and older people, I don't know. Are you going to listen to a 15-year-old? Again, this is nothing against 15-year-olds because there's a market for that. 15-year-olds are going to be listening to their peers or whatever. Like, so they're in high school. Like, it's been so long since I've been in high school. You kind of remember it and I could write songs about it. But so you have your audience, but that is the good thing about the internet. You can find your niche and, appeal to those people who might like your type of music. Because if there's a kid listening to it, they might like it because it has a good melody and a good beat. But sometimes with the words and stuff, someone else is going to maybe connect with it who's older. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because my song Shadow Dance is all about that. About like life and it's about life, man. It's about life. So with that said, I will play a little clip from I just did this intro actually. I didn't record the podcast yet. It's going to be on my Comedy of Errors podcast, but this is the intro. And then I will be here's the intro of the Comedy of Errors. This is a special podcast that's you can get if you go over to Buy Me a Coffee, and you have to get the backstage pass. It's $10 a month. And you get these extra podcasts and some extra behind the scenes of all about my album, music that's not even out yet, because I want to show the journey of what it looks like as an independent artist, as someone without loads of funding or the machine behind you. I am literally putting it out on my own label, Voice of Freedom Records, and doing everything myself because I've experienced, I don't like doing everything myself. I do need help and I want help. But as far as being in control and learning from the past of what I don't want, now I'm doing it my way. But it's tough. It's tough because you don't have the money. You don't have loads of money to break through. You do need money for advertising and promoting and blah blah blah. So that is why I started to Buy Me a Coffee, because if any money I raise from there, that's all going into promoting the album and paying for the boosts and the reels and all that, or boosting advertising. Advertising is a big thing. You can make the greatest music in the world, but if you can't get it out there and no one knows it exists and you can't advertise and compete and get it out there, no one's ever going to hear it. And that would be a shame. But let me play that. Let me go in the chat room real quick. So I don't want to ignore any comments here. Do robots cry digital tears? Did you ask that? Oh, Timbo's answer is no, they don't. I was gonna say, like, I don't know. Do androids dream of electric sheep? A great story by Philip K. Dick. Okay, so back to we'll address that again in a minute. Here's the Comedy of Errors podcast. This is the intro. Here we go.
Hey, now before I go, ooh, I'm gonna take my soul and you can have it back. I'm on the other side. Oh man, I fought so long just so I could sing my songs, but I had it all wrong. Oh, I still sing my songs.
Go so fast. Enjoy the ride. Don't wait. Listen to it. It's all the kids. I'm always with you. Remember who you're never alone. I love you. Welcome to a Comedy of Errors podcast with your host, Hollis Mahady. That's me.
So that's the only thing I made so far. Well, I actually did make the whole studio, but then it was in my other dating. It was when I quit dating him, so he kept the studio. That's you quit. You stop dating someone and they get whatever. They keep some of the stuff, but that's just a little intro there. But that's funny, like that little intro I made with the baby crying and stuff. Sometimes I'm like, that's life, right? We don't even know how do you remember when you were literally in the womb and you're like, you come out and you're like, oh my gosh, what is this place? And then you go through life, and that's the Comedy of Errors is all about, the podcast. So I'll be getting into a lot of the stories of the songs and all that stuff. But that was really geared towards music, and I'm going to be putting that out eventually, hopefully this year. I'll be dropping a song soon, my first song covers, and that is on Voice of Freedom Records.
Music has always been such an important part of my life. It's been a constant, a lifeline, a force that shaped who I am. I understand the heart of an artist, those who create not for fortune or fame, but because the music lives inside them, because it's what fills their soul. That's why I created Voice of Freedom Records, not just as a home for my own music, but as a place where one day others can bring their voices to the world. In a time when algorithms and fleeting trends seem to decide what we hear, we focus on the quality, not just the quantity. We search for music that matters, music that speaks to the heart, that stirs something deep within us, that reminds us what it means to be human. Because at Voice of Freedom Records, it's not just about making noise, it's about making music that moves souls.
What choice
Yeah.
do you have other than to fight and let go of these roots? Now hold yourself tight, you claw your way up, back on solid ground, then your darkness comes to kick you back down.
There you go. So that's Voice of Freedom Records. And it's a little bit why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I'm putting my own music out on that first. I'm obviously the first artist on my own label. But my goal is to hopefully find some other people down the line and we can help each other, because I need help. I can't do it all alone. But it's one of those things where you come up with the idea and you hopefully people who are meant to find it may find it, and we can kind of help each other. I think it's important. I think the traditional music industry it's changing already on its own, and with the AI and everything, it's just there's so much. It's different, and it's hard to break through. So I think it's important to find those other people who are who are real, who are writing their own songs and singing themselves and all that, and come together and do something that is, as I said, I'm not anti AI because you have to use it. It's here. It's not going anywhere. I say that in the first couple episodes. We're gonna have to learn how to adapt to it, but it's also important, I think, to remind each other and keep that humanness, because if you get too lazy, it's like, oh, AI, just let AI do it. Let's just let AI write every single thing. Let AI write every book, or every whatever it is. We're gonna get lazy in our mind. We still want to use our mind, right? I think I have that T-shirt on actually underneath this. It's my AI T-shirt. It says say no to AI. This was like 5 years ago. It says use your own mind. So I don't know. I can't be the resistance to AI, like, because it's here. You have to learn to adapt to it. So over in the comment section, do robots. We still have that comment there. So we'll see about that. I don't know. But here we are, guys. So it's the top of the hour. So we have the comments of the day. And I did say around 8 o'clock, maybe start playing the Tinkle Paw video. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do the comment of the day when we get back. And I should maybe do the Tinkle Paw video now. Okay, so because I don't want to be too far off my schedule. We're at the top of the hour here. And I've already talked about the Buy Me a Coffee. Tips support the show. Because we do want to do the drawing at the end as well, because I promised we would do that. So maybe I'll go into the Tinkle Paw story. And like I said, this is a video where most of it's not too sad or anything. There was a couple minutes where I was like, I don't know if I should play it. It's a little emotional. But if you're here for it, if you're here for you happen to tune in, you saw the thumbnail of my magical angel kitty cat. This is why I wanted to tell the story. It was hard. It was hard to relive it and tell it. But I always said I've been wanting to record that video for ever since it happened. Because it's kind of, it's talk therapy and you're getting it out there and you're releasing it. And it's a pretty magical story. So if anyone's up for a story, grab the tissues, guys. But if you're not, maybe tune out and come back in 40 minutes. Don't leave. Watch the story. It's good. And like I said, you're not the one who lived through it. So sometimes when people tell it, you don't know the cat or the person, it's not as sad. It's still sad though. But okay, so should we play the video? Anyone in the comments over there? Tim, Timothy, Travis, and Charlene. I don't know if you guys are still there, but love you all. So I will pop back in a little bit and we'll talk about it at the end. I'll come back. It's not over. The show's just beginning. We'll go for a while. Feeling pretty spunky tonight. And all right, enjoy the video and I will talk to you soon. Actually, get your drink out. I wanted to say tonight I am enjoying. This is really good. Before we go into it, it's always nice to have a beverage or maybe have a snack. If you're home unwinding and you're like, I'll tune into this girl, or maybe you just found me, maybe you're watching on the Rumble and you're like, well, this video has nothing to do with the thumbnail, so I'm about to play that part. But I'm drinking sparkling black tea from Trader Joe's. Really good. Well, it only has 15 calories. We were talking a lot about diet last night. Your number one ingredient here is brewed black tea with peach juice. They always say when you're looking at ingredients, whatever the first ingredient is the most. So I try to avoid. If the first ingredient is sugar, I'm like, oh, it has a lot of sugar. But anyway, get out your drink of choice. I'll be having this and maybe I'll be watching the video as well. I'm in the chat room as well. So if you guys are chatting, I will be here also looking at the chat room as well. And Joe, I saw your comment. I'll address that after this video because we are here for the long haul. We're having a good time tonight. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can add this to the stage and I may pop back. All right, enjoy this story. This is in honor of my baby, Kitkat Tinkle Paw. Here we go.
Hi, I'm here. I'm back. And today we're having story time with Hollis. Story time here on Hollis-Tics. I'm all prepared. I have some of my items here. And I've also got myself compliments of my wonderful assistant, producer, partner in crime. Thank you, Dan, for the coffee. He's the best. So cheers, everyone. If wherever you're joining me, it might be you tuning this later into after a replay, so it's not the same time. It might be morning, it might be night. You might not like coffee at all. But if you have a drink, maybe you have a water, a beer, a soda, a wine, whatever it is, cheers. And then I also have here my water as well. So I have both just in case. Okay. So why did I want to tell this story? Well, this is a story I've wanted to tell for a long time because when the story happened, I told a couple people, but it's one of those stories where, you know how they say, I don't know if you know this or if you heard this, but I heard this before. You know, when you go through something traumatic or whatever it is, if it's a breakup or, you know, someone dies, maybe someone dying is not the best example because I don't think that's something you ever get over. And I don't think that sometimes you can't help self crying. But for instance, let's say a bad relationship. Because I was in a lot of bad relationships and some good ones too, but some that weren't so great, toxic, whatever you want to call it. And they say if you can work through it and heal it, you know, time heals wounds and all that. But eventually, when you can talk about something without having any emotion attached to it anymore, like when you're not angry at the person anymore, when you're not crying when you say their name, or you're not, you know, really when you're not upset or negative or it brings you to a dark place, just talking about, then you've healed. But it's not always easy to heal. One, it takes time. Like I said, they say time heals all wounds. I think when it comes to losing someone, especially, I mean, obviously a person, we're going to talk about a pet, time, it makes the wound maybe not as fresh, not as bleeding, not as, you know, it heals. It's always there. So death isn't the best example probably, but something I think a relationship's a good one because when you could talk about that later in hindsight, like now it's whatever, a couple years later, or maybe it took you a long time to get over it and you could talk about it without the anger or the bad memories or the hurt, and you could kind of look at it more objectively or neutrally. That means maybe you've healed from it. You've healed from it. And how do you heal? A lot of time it's through going through it. And it takes a long time. It's not just time. It's actually doing a lot of inner work and shadow work and working on your own self to see, like, you know, especially in a relationship, why did you choose that person? What was it about me? Instead of blaming, because we blame everybody. But I say at the end of the day, we're responsible for our life, right? We could choose who we want to be with. We could choose when we walk away. We could choose how long we stay. We could choose if we never walk away. So I think blaming everybody else and always being a victim, that's one thing I didn't want to always be. I didn't want to be a victim. I was like, well, what was my role in staying that long? Or why was I attracting those kind of people if they were the ones I didn't want to be with, you know? And anyway, it brings back me to the point of this story is that now is the time to tell it. You know, it was just when it happened, it was, you know, when you live through these things and then it's not till later really you could tell the story. Because when you're living through it, you're living through it. It's not really a story yet until years later. Like, wow, I have a lot of stories to tell. So this one is something, like I said, it's just, I'll start from the beginning. So when I went back to Scranton after the COVID hit in 2020, and it was a crazy time in the world, obviously, but right before COVID, it was the end of 2019, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And, you know, you hear that about your parent, it was horrible, you know, it was unexpected. My dad was a great golfer. He was like always in shape. He, you know, it was totally unexpected. So that's, you know, I don't need to get into all that, but that's what happened. So it was the beginning of 2019 and he was sick and, you know, it wasn't like a good prognosis and all that. So I was traveling back and forth and everything for over a year. And anyway, he ended up passing away in December 2019. And with all that said, I went back and I was there and I was there through everything that happened. But I was living in Las Vegas. I hadn't been living in Scranton for 15 years. You know, I wasn't back in Scranton. I had a life. I lived far away. I was always coming back to Scranton, you know, for holidays, and I saw them when I could, but I didn't live there officially until COVID hit, and then I ended up moving back. But it was the timing of everything. So my dad died before COVID hit. After COVID hit, well, I went back after when he passed away. I was there, you know, home for his funeral and everything. And then I had to go back to Las Vegas. And I was back in Las Vegas probably end of January. I was home for a couple weeks, but I had to go back. I had a job I was starting. I had just moved there. All my stuff was there. I still had to pay the rent. I had to go back. So I was back there in January and had a music studio actually at the time. And I had a lockout studio. I talk about it now. It's the first time in Cleveland I had a lockout studio since then. What a lockout studio means is it's open 24 hours. It was so cool. I had a couch in there, a little refrigerator and my piano, and I had everything. And I would just go there when I wasn't working or to get out of the apartment, and no one bothered me. I was in there playing as loud as I could, and that's when I wrote Hole in Our Hearts. It's a song on the album. And so I was back there, and I was like, I'm going to record my solo album, because I had songs pouring out of me. I was heartbroken. Obviously, I just lost my dad. And I wrote Hole in Our Hearts on that piano. I don't have it anymore, the piano, in Las Vegas. And because I was there probably end of January, I was back there. I was there all January and February. And that's when I wrote Hole in Our Hearts. And I was working in a casino. I was about to start another job working for a videographer. I was getting a gig in a cover band. I was practicing. We were going to get shows that were paying and whatever. I had just moved to Las Vegas from LA, and I was starting a life there. And it was just when my dad was sick and everything, and I was going back and forth. And when he passed away, it was obviously devastating. I was home in Scranton for a while, but I had to go back. So in those 2 months of the end of January and February, I was brokenhearted, obviously. And I was just expressing my pain through music and everything. And it was March, right around the time we are now, March 17th. I talked about this last week. March 17th was when the COVID hit, right? I was about to go to show up for my shift on St. Patrick's Day. I was like, oh, it's probably going to make some good money tonight because, I was working as a bartender or selling these souvenirs, all this stuff, or, working for tips and all that. And they called and they said, oh no, don't come in. Everything was closed because of the coronavirus. And I have footage of all this. This is all in Holly's Playhouse. That's when everything changed. Obviously everything really changed for me when my dad passed away, because that's just a whole nother story. This is just the lead up and the build up to what happened with Tinkle Paw. But anyway, so when that happened, when coronavirus hit, even my music studio, I remember, we weren't allowed to go there, or something happened where it was closed. And we weren't allowed to go to the casino. It was closed. No one was working. I'm there, and now all of a sudden I have no job, no music studio. I was living with a girl named Monica. Oh, Monica, I love you. If you happen to see this, you were one of my favorite parts of Las Vegas. She was a great roommate. I loved her. And I remember my mom called, and I was thinking, maybe I need to just go home. My mom was there. Obviously my mom and dad were very good friends, and she was devastated. We were all devastated. And my mom had a house. It was my dad's house that was now empty. And my dad had a really big house. And if you watch Holly's Playhouse, it'll show all this. It'll show the house and the journey of what happened. I'm just telling this now in real time to lead up to the story here, because it all plays a part. Because sometimes you have to, the background it's the context of why it was so impactful. When COVID hit, it changed the whole world, obviously, not just me, but everything that was happening, and everybody was experiencing this. It was like something no one ever really experienced. Not in my lifetime. I don't know if many other people, my parents and stuff, and never knew a worldwide pandemic was here. We didn't know what was going on. But anyway, when it hit, everyone remembers where they were, right? Where were you when everything was shut down and you had to stay home and there was a curfew and all this stuff? I was in Las Vegas. Now I had no job, no music studio, nothing. And I thought my mom needed me, and my sister. Was my sister there at that point? Or was she still? I think she was in California too. She ended up moving back to Pennsylvania as well. But anyway, with all the details, I decided to go back to Scranton. And that's when the Holly's Playhouse began. Because I went back and I was living with my mom for a couple weeks, because my mom and dad were divorced. They were great friends, but they didn't live together. My dad had the house that I grew up in, Holly's Playhouse. That's what I called it. And you'll see why if you watch the episodes, what happened. But it wasn't really called Holly's Playhouse. It was where I grew up on Prescott Avenue in Scranton. That's where the house is. And so when I went back, I lived with my mom for a couple weeks, or maybe it was a month or something. And the house was empty. Or no, my aunt, because this plays into the story too. My aunt actually was living on one side of the house because the house was very big, and it's one of those double houses. So, you have there's two addresses in one house. It's like a double-sided house. So my dad was living on the one side, and then my aunt, my mom's sister, was living on the other side. So she was there actually. So it all plays into the story. I'm sorry, it's been a minute, but it's all very interesting because the characters, they all play a part in the story of Tinkle Paw. And so I went back to my mom's, and I'm living with my mom, and I'm thinking, there's a whole house down there. Why don't I just go live down there in Scranton? So I ended up going there, and I moved there. And again, you're at a point in your life where COVID's hit. We don't know what's happening. We don't know how long this is going to go on. And it ended up going on for quite a long time. And I had no work, no jobs. I mean, the music industry they told you totally was non-essential workers. And, I hadn't been back in that house really to live, besides going for Christmas and, of course, to visit my dad over the years and everything. I hadn't lived there since I was a kid, since I was in high school, really. So you're back in your childhood home where you grew up. Now your dad is gone. And it was hard. It was sad. It was sad, because all this stuff was there, and I had to go through everything. And, but it was a big house. And I said, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. And I think I'm going to be staying for a while. Leading up to that, I had been all over the world. I hadn't been back in Scranton in over 15 years, again, with the exception of Christmases and things, but not to live. So all of a sudden, I'm at this point where I didn't know where my life was taking me now, because it was taking me back to Scranton. And so I said, well, I'm here. I have all these songs pouring out of me. I have a hole in our hearts is a song, like I said, I wrote in Las Vegas. I wrote another song for my dad. Shadow Dance is a song on my album that I wrote when I got back, and I was living in Clark Summit with my mom. And it was crazy because I was out in she had like a little room off the kitchen. It was like a garage. It wasn't a garage, it was inside, but it's like a workshop area. And I set up my little laptop, and I was playing guitar, and I had some of my dad's stuff there. And Cecil was with me when I was writing Shadow Dance. It came out right there. And all of a sudden, all these songs are coming out. And as I said, for you guys who don't know me, or maybe just are stumbling upon this, just happen to be listening to this whole story, I'm a musician, and I had left Hollywood. I was in LA, and then I moved to Las Vegas, and a whole long thing, and being in bands, and I left the band, and some drama and all that. But when that happened, it never killed my love for music. If anything, I started writing all these songs, and I was like, they say pain is a catalyst for creativity, and it's a way you deal with stuff. So my heart was broken, obviously. Anyone who lost a parent, you guys know, you're just devastated. You're never the same. And I felt at least grateful that I had that outlet, which was my music. And, some people do other things, like I always talk about. Maybe they're writing, maybe they're in a book about it, or poetry, or whatever they are doing in their memory, like to get it out, So mine was writing songs, and I never thought I could write songs really that good. I never thought I was a great writer. I wrote lyrics over the years with the band, but there was always bandmates doing a lot. And I played the piano for so long, and I had so much in my heart, and it was just started pouring out. It was like I was just crying and playing the piano. And anyway, so I just ended up moving down to Scranton and being back in the house. Now, my aunt Tootie, and we call her Tootie, but her real name's Elizabeth. She was on the other side, and I was on my dad's side. And it was the first few months you're going through all my dad's stuff, and we had to give a lot of it away. We kept some of it, you have so much stuff that you have to figure out what to do with it. That's the hardest part. That's sad. I hate that, but because my dad had so many golf clubs, and we have a lot of them still, and they're there, but there was just a lot of stuff, and it hadn't been updated in a while, and I had all this time, and my mom was supportive, and she's like, if you're gonna live down there, we could do some like upgrading. So I was like, it's COVID, I'm gonna remodel the house, we're gonna get, make it, because it was not like touched, it was like your old bedroom. There's some stuff in there, and over the years it just kind of came
to like, my room was like a lot of storage. There was exercise equipment. There was all this stuff in there. It wasn't like I could live there, but I wanted to make it into a project. So that's where Holly's Playhouse stemmed from. And I was like, I'm gonna like turn this into something really cool where I'm here, because I'm gonna turn the attic where my dad always did his workouts, and he had his golf room and he had his exercise room. And I said, I'm gonna make that into a recording studio. Because he knows how much I love music. I know he would be like, want me to do that. And I wanted to do it anyway. So there you go. There's this is a really long lead up. I could talk a lot, but this is a really long lead up to the story of the cat arriving. But yeah, so I again, just if you're interested in this at all, you could go and watch those 10 episodes. It literally says it step by step. And it shows me from painting and remodeling and doing all this stuff and what it was before to what it is. But during that time, when I was there doing all this, I said, maybe I'll get a cat. Yeah, a kitten. Because for so many years I was traveling and I never had a pet. I never had my own pet. And I only had a cat when I was younger. It was the family cat, Mr. Willie. But he wasn't my cat and I was younger. And then I went and I traveled and I never had my own dog or a cat because I was always moving. And I've talked about this before. You know how it is. If you're moving a lot, an animal's a commitment. And I wanted one, but I was always jumping around and living. I just couldn't have a cat or a dog. And now I was back and I was sad and I was kind of like, maybe I'll get a pet. Maybe I'll get a cat. And I told this part of the story the other night when I got the cat bed. I was like, I'm going to manifest the cat, or not manifest it, but I'm going to like set up the scene and see, what happens. I didn't have a set day. Like I'm going to get a cat next week. I was just like, had the idea, I'm going to get a cat. So I got the cat bed. And I was really thinking about it because here I was and Tootie was on the other side, but I was alone there on the one side. And it's a big house. And I was thinking if any time, maybe I could have a little companion. And I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was like in a different time in my life. I was like, wherever I move, I'll take the cat if I have to move. But I was thinking I was going to stay there for a while. I was back. I didn't know what was going to happen with COVID and everything. And then one day, this is where it's the magical story. It turns into the magic. But one day, I went outside my door, and this was after I got the cat bed and stuff. And I opened the door, and there she was. This beautiful Maine Coon mix. And I wore my cat thing here today because she literally had fur like this. You know that the Maine Coon, they have that like, looks like this kind of. That's why I wore this. But her fur. I mean, she just was this beautiful little cat. And I was just like, oh my gosh, she was so cute and so friendly. And she was sprawled across the sidewalk. And I was like, aw. But, I didn't know, maybe she was someone else's cat. She had no collar on or no tag. So I just, pet her and everything. And I was like, aw. And I was going to see my mom. And then I told my mom about it because I was like, I saw this cat. And she was like, if you're going to take in a cat, you got to make sure you give her shots and you got to get her this and that. I'm like, well, we'll see if she comes back. Because I think my mom knew I was kind of lonely and I wanted to get like a cat or an animal or something. I was sad. And so anyway, then I went home. I think it was like the next day. There she showed up again. And then she kept coming back. And my aunt Tootie loves cats, and she's a cat person. See, she always had cats throughout her life. I think she never not had a cat. She always had a cat. So she noticed her coming back, and she wasn't named Tinkle Paw at the name because this Tinkle Paw at the start. This is all part of the story. I just started calling her Kitty. She didn't have a name. She had no collar. I didn't think she was anybody's cat because she was just, always wandering around and she didn't have a name tag or anything. So I just started calling her Kitty. And like I said, we lived in a double house. So there was a porch and she would sometimes just be on Tootie's side. There was just two sides. But when we shared the house, but so she just kept coming around and Tootie loved her. And I think Tootie would let her in the house sometimes. And then I started letting her in on my side. And it was funny because we had in the house, it's a double house, but in the cellar, there's a door that if you keep it open, it connects to other house. Like when I was younger, there was neighbors over there. We would always lock it. It was just Tootie over there. So I kept that open sometimes because the cat would go literally bounce back and forth. She would go down into the cellar, then she would go up the stairs,
knock on Tootie's kitchen. Like there was a door, like a basement door that Tootie had to open, and the cat would go in, and then she would come back down and come up and come to my side. So we were sharing this cat, and we were just like, we both loved cats. We didn't have a cat she didn't have a cat then. And so I was like, this cat is cool. What do we call her? We'll call her Kitty. We just call her Kitty. And that was my first real experience with my own cat, like besides Willie. But I would just got so attached to her. And again, you're like, she was a special little cat. You always hear stories like, oh, cats are kind of like aloof, and they're just like again, I think that's all different personalities, right? Like humans. Some cats are more friendly than others. I think certain breeds are more like friendly, maybe, or I don't know if friendly is the right word, but like more involved. Like I was reading about Maine Coons, and she's a Maine Coon mix, I'm pretty sure, because I know she's not a full Maine Coon, because she looks similar to that kind of, but real Maine Coons, when I say real, like purebred, or like they get like 200 pounds, not maybe not that big, but they get big and they have the real pointy ears, and that's like full bred Maine Coon. And correct me if I'm wrong, like, you know what I mean? People might have a Maine Coon and be like, what are you talking about? It's not that. But just as far as I know. So someone told me she's a Maine Coon mix, and I'm like, I think that's what she is. And she had this, and she acted like a little puppy. And yeah, so she was there. I had her for about it was like a year. So I had her for almost a year. So now during this time when the kitty arrived, I was doing what I was talking about earlier. I was like preparing the house. I was spending like every day at Home Depot getting different kind of paints, and I was painting myself and ripping up carpet, and a friend from high school came over to help me do some manly stuff that I didn't know how to do. Like he had a drill and a saw and that stuff. And I don't really like to use people's full names because, just privacy or whatever. But, I reference people's names in stories and stuff, but I try not to leave their full name. But the full name in this is actually, I have to kind of say the name because it's part of the story. So I don't know, change the identity. I don't think he'll really care. But my friend, we'll call him Sam. I mean, I don't think he'll really care, but just in case. But we'll call him, his name is Sam. Sam Tunis came over. And Sam Tunis was very helpful. He was creative. He knew how to do like everything. He knew how to he was just a very good handyman, but he was also very creative, and he knew how to I needed this done, and he would help. And, I paid him, like I said in the one story, like, I'll give you some money. I can't pay you thousands of dollars to do my floor, but, you want to go to Home Depot with me? I'll buy it, and I'll help you do it. And, I'll pay you for your time and stuff. So we had a good time, and he came over a lot. He helped me do a lot of stuff. But Sam Tunis, it doesn't even realize that he's part of Tinkle Paw's name. Maybe he realizes. I'm not sure if he knows this is where her name came from. But so he would come over, and like I said, I lived in the double house, so Tootie would see Sam Tunis sometimes and say hi, and she knew his name. And then it happened one day, and I specifically remember her saying on the porch, she's like, I used to have a friend named, well, she said not Sam Tunis, but Tunis, and she's like, his name was Tunis Tinkle Paw. And I was like, Tunis Tinkle Paw? I was like, that's a weird name, right? Tinkle Paw. And I was like, that's like the kitty, like paws. I was like, well, Tinkle Paw. Like tinkle, you think like pee-pee, right? You have to take a tinkle. Pee-pee paw, Tinkle Paw. Tinkle Paw. It's like, that is so cute. So then I started calling her Kitty, Kit Kat, because it went from Kitty Cat to Kit Kat. I would call her Kit Kat. So I didn't know what to name her. And then I started calling her Tinkle Paw. And I was like, that's her name. Kitkat Tinkle Paw. I was like, that's the cutest name. I was like, I love that. So that was Kitkat Tinkle Paw. That became her name. And so, like I said, I had her for probably less than, at this point, maybe a few months. And my mom was like, well, I don't think she's anyone's cat. She doesn't have tags. She keeps coming back. I'm feeding her. She's always showing up. Then, she's sleeping on my bed. She's like there now. But I would let her outside because she was an outdoor cat and she always wanted to go outside. So I was like, I have a cat now. And my mom was like, well, you got to take her to the vet and make sure she has her rabies shots. And I got her collar, and I got it engraved on there, Kitkat Tinkle Paw. 943 Prescott Avenue. That was her address, Kitkat Tinkle Paw. But that's where it came from, the name. From Tuna's Tinkle Paw to just Tinkle Paw to Kitty Cat to Kitkat Tinkle Paw. And so there's a story with it. It's not done yet because it's crazy what happens next. But so I just, it was my first cat. I love this cat. She was like my little human buddy. Like, I swear, she was like a person. And we got each other. She was just, and it was like during a sad time, it was a hard time. And she was my companion. She followed me everywhere. And like I said, I would let her outside and she would go dash down the alley. Like, she wanted to go outside. And, you know, part of me was scared because I know there's cars, but she came to me from the outdoors. So I thought, you know, she's street smart. She was outside as far as I knew because I didn't know that much about her. You know, I didn't know how old she was really. She looked young, but I didn't know how old she was. But she would go, we would sit on the deck and then she would go and explore and she would always run down the alley. And then I would come out a couple hours later like, where is she? Tinkle Paw. And I would yell, Tinkle Paw. And sometimes I had the treat bag. I'd be, Tinkle Paw. And she'd come galloping down the alley as soon as she heard me call her. Every time I would call her. I might have to call her a couple times, but she would come galloping down the alley and come up to the deck. And she was so excited. I probably have video of it. I know I have video of it somewhere. Yeah. I remember one time and it was during the time I had her. I went to the beach with my mom for like a week and a half. And I was like, oh, what is she going to think? Like I left. But Tootie took care of her. And I was like so worried. I was like, Tootie, will you make sure you can feed her and everything? And of course, Tootie did. She loved her as well. And in that time, Tootie got another cat. But anyway, back to the story of the name. So I can have the timeline kind of messed up, but I probably had her for maybe a year or maybe it was a little less. And then one day, this is where it gets kind of crazy. One day I was sitting on my back deck, the same deck that it's in the back of the house, that Tinkle Paw would run down and she'd disappear and go up the alley and do her thing. And I would call her and she would come back. So one day I was sitting on the deck and this lady comes up through my backyard because I didn't have a fence. And she just kind of walked up and she's like, can I talk to you for a second? And I was like, sure. She's like, it's about your cat. And I was like, oh no. I was like, yeah. I was like, is she okay? What happened? And she's like, oh no. She's like, and she was really nice. And I don't think she might have had a dog with her at the time. I think that she was walking her dog. And she's like, no, she's like, that cat. She's like, that's actually my cat. And I'm like, what? My heart dropped. I was like, well, oh my God. Like, I didn't know. I didn't want to take your cat. I didn't know it was your cat. I've just been taking care of her. And she was so nice. And she was like, no. It's okay though. She's like, she's my cat. But she's like, honestly, I have like a lot of cats and she had a dog. And I hope I'm getting this right. I know that she took care of a lot of cats. And this is what she told me. She had a lot of animals and I think she took Tinkle Paw in. That wasn't her name. She called her Mama. And now I learned her real name. It's like Tinkle Paw is Mama. And apparently Mama was Mama to a bunch of other cats. And there were dogs there. And what this lady told me, she said, well, you know, honestly, no, it's okay. I'm not here to get the cat at all. She seems happy with you. I'm not at all. I'm just curious about something else. And I was like, I was relieved because I wasn't going to take anyone's cat. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't own the cat. I mean, if it's someone else's cat or whatever, like as long as they have a home and they're happy, you know, whatever. And that's what she was all about it. She was like, no, I have a dog that I don't think the kitty liked to be around the dog that much. Or anyway, she was saying, I think the cat's happy with you because she gets all the attention and she's not like around all these other animals. I think she liked to have like just the one-on-one attention. And I think she was just like probably like my cats now, they don't love dogs. Some cats don't want to be around dogs. So anyway, she goes, no, it's okay. I'm not here to get the cat. Like, don't worry. I'm happy she's happy. I'm like, I just wanted to meet you. I'm glad I met you. She's like, but I have a question. And I'm like, sure. And she's like, on her collar there, I saw her name, Kitkat Tinkle Paw. And I like kind of laughed because I know it's kind of a weird name. And she's like, could I ask you why you named her that? And so I started kind of getting into the story. I was like, well, my aunt had someone named Tuna's Tinkle Paw and this and that. And she was like, She's like, because you're not going to believe this. She's like, my last name is Tinkle Paw. I'm like, what? So the cat that Tinkle Paw, like, what are the odds of that name? Number one. And then, so her last name was Tinkle Paw. So I named this cat Kitkat Tinkle Paw. The name of the owner that I didn't know. She's like, my last name's Tinkle Paw. And she's like, and then she says, my first name's Catherine. She's like, and my friends call me Kit Kat. Like, my name's Kitkat Tinkle Paw. There you go. There's the freaking, when you tell the joke, what is it called when you tell the punchline? My heart like dropped. I'm like, are you joking? So you guys get, I know it's been a long build up to this, but I'm telling you, like, so I named this cat, came to me, and I named this cat Kitkat Tinkle Paw. Had no idea it was someone else's cat. No idea that this lady was down the road and her name was Kitkat Tinkle Paw and she owned the cat previously. I mean, she was the original owner. She's the owner of the cat. My mind was blown. I was like, what? I was like, are you kidding me? And that's why I was just like, what are the odds? What are the odds of that? Now, you could be like, people, like, I don't know. Do people think that's not that far-fetched, or is that just a coincidence? Or because this cat during that time, like I said, when I was so sad and just getting my life back, and not back, just trying to figure it out. And she was my little buddy, my little companion, and she was like a little angel. She was an angel sent to me during that time. She provided just some comfort during a time where I really needed it. Kitkat Tinkle Paw. And this lady, Kitkat Tinkle Paw, the real Kitkat Tinkle Paw, I ended up calling her. So nice, so sweet, just a good person who loved animals. And she wasn't like, oh, I want my cat back or anything. Like, she was just so nice. I think she was just happy that, the cat like found somewhere maybe that was better for them outside of the other animals, and she was happy. She was just like, great, And I, of course, was like, oh, well, she's still your cat. I mean, it's not, I don't want to, but it wasn't even like that. It was just like, she just wanted to know, why did I name her Kitkat Tinkle Paw? Because she said her son was like, this must be a joke, or they must know, meaning me. Because imagine on her end, her cat like left and maybe just coming back, and then all of a sudden she comes back and she has a collar on that says Kitkat Tinkle Paw. Like, imagine from her perspective, and she didn't know who I was, and she's probably thinking like, what, right? So I mean, I think that is just a crazy story, and it gets weirder. It gets weirder, and then it gets sad. I mean, and I don't like the sad part. That's why it's hard. It's hard to tell. I have my toilet paper just in case I shed a tear. But it gets a little more strange. So are you telling, like, maybe my dad sent me that cat? I was like, someone sent that cat to me in that moment. And even Kitkat Tinkle Paw being so nice about it, the real Kit Kat. Because she could have been like, hey, I want my cat back, or rude or something. She wasn't. She was like so nice. And I was like, what? And then, so it was weird too, because then I found this. Now, I don't know if you could see this. I'll hold it close up. And I will also show you some pictures of the real Kitkat Tinkle Paw, because I said she looks like Ruby, my new kitty. But I don't know if you could see that. Okay. And there's a reason why I'm showing this. Okay. So in where I grew up, where my dad's house, where I was living, obviously I told you guys my dad had passed away, and I spent so much time like organizing, having to donate things that we didn't need all this stuff anymore. We kept a lot of it, and we gave things to family and friends, that like some of his clothes and things, But my grandma used to live on the other side of the house where Tootie was. Now Tootie was there. My grandma passed away a long time ago, sadly as well. But my grandma lived in that house. So my dad was on the one side for a while, and my grandma was on the other side. And down in the basement, there was a lot of stuff. My dad didn't get rid of a lot of stuff. So there was like just a lot of stuff to go through. There was like some old appliances and just things we were getting rid of. And like I said, in the Holly's Playhouse, it shows everything and kind of the transformation of the whole place. But anyway, in the basement, there was like, I don't know, a bag or box of old things. And I was going through it. And I found this card. And inside, now on the card, it says, if I had 9 lives. And I read it. And I'm trying to remember the story, like if this was before or after, because I'll try to say it really quick. Long story short, because I won't get into all the details. I'll start crying. But Tinkle Paw ended up getting hit by a car. I was just like, I was devastated. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it was just like the saddest thing ever. Because I mean, losing a parent. I mean, you know, it's not like you're comparing it all something like, oh, what, like, how could you compare losing a cat to it? It's not. I'm not comparing anything. All I'm saying is like an animal. And one, I never had my own pet really, and then it was so unexpected. But Tinkle Paw, one night she went out, and I was dating this guy, and it wasn't his fault at all. I mean, it could have happened. Like, he went out to have a cigarette, and it would have been me if it wasn't him. Like, she wanted to go out at night. I let her out. Sometimes I just would come the next morning. She'd be at the door. And that was the night she went out, and she never came back. And a guy was nice enough who found her in the road. She got hit. It was just like the saddest thing ever. And he came back, and he had her collar. And I was just like so devastated. That's why I say I have to cut this part out. Because when you think about it, remember in the beginning of the story, I said, if you could talk about it, you'd be healed. But this story, I just can't talk about it without crying. And this is why I have the toilet paper out. Because I don't want to make anyone sad, but I just think it's just like, it was just like a magical story. It doesn't sound so magical when you're crying, but it has a sad ending, you know? But anyway, so I don't remember if I had found this before or after, but I found it in the basement. Like I said, my grandma lived there, 15, 20 years prior? Because she passed away a long time ago. I was in high school. And my dad kept everything. He kept so much stuff, and I was going through the stuff, and I found this card. Look at the picture. And I'll compare. I'll give you the picture of Tinkle Paw as well. And this is what it says inside. It says, it's a handwritten little poem by my grandma. And I think, and I'm not sure where this is, but it's like an old Irish thing or where this, it's known. It says, don't stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I'm the 1,000 winds that blow. Can't really make it out. I'm the gleam, glint in the snow. I'm the sunlight, grass. I'm the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken, the morning's hush. I am the swift, I can't really make it out. But it's like, I am the soft star that shines at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I'm not there. I did not die. Love, Grandma. And then it says, keep your eye on the cat. No, but it's just one of those things. It's like, why did she come into your life? Like, she came in. And that's the thing, we get sad when people are no longer with us and they die and they're not here. And it's really hard because they wouldn't want us to be crying. They wouldn't want us to be sad. They don't. You know, my dad was always just want us to be happy. So he would, you know, and I always say, like, you can take it, it's hard, but obviously you take it so hard, and some people never recover, or some people like go years but they can't just get it together after it. But I know in my case, probably in a lot of people's, like, your parents want you to be happy. So my way to honor my dad is to live my best life, to follow my dream, to keep doing music, because he knows that was always like in my heart. Follow my passions. That's why I named it Passion Productions, because he said to follow your passions. But with Tinkle Paw, as you think about pets, they go to the Rainbow Bridge, and here's her picture. Here's their picture. I had all these pictures, man. I just didn't know what to do. I mean, I was so freaking sad. It was horrible. I had all my pictures with her, and I got them like printed out, and I was cremated. I didn't even know what to do. There's a funeral parlor right up the road, and same place where my dad had his funeral and everything, and couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I was taking my cat there. You know, after all that, I was like, you know, it was like a cruel. The world could be so cruel sometimes. I was like, gosh, really? My cat now too? You know, my dad died, and then my manager Steve died, and then it was Tinkle Paw. And I even have her little paw print. They were so nice there. Another little poem about the Rainbow Bridge. Again, I just think the story was important. Like, I don't want to make anyone else feel bad or cry or miss their pets, but it's like just the story surrounding it. I was like, that's why I always thought there was something more to it, and people get mad at God or says, oh, God, how did God do this? No, it wasn't that. It's not. God brought her to us, or an angel. She was a little angel. She was there when I needed her most. But it was after that time, and it was towards things were, getting better in my life and house and everything. And that was a tough one though. And then the symbolism of she died on Easter, the resurrection, and like she went across the Rainbow Bridge and all that. That to me is just, that's a crazy story. And I've never shared that. I mean, I've shared it with a couple people. I think giving it the whole backstory, if anyone has actually been here listening to this whole thing, like giving it the whole backstory, and then the fact that like her name was that, like just the surrounding, like what are the odds of that? What are the odds that this lady was so nice, and she had a son named Luke, and he's a musician. He reminded me of myself back in Scranton. I'm back like 20 years. I'm like the older lady, like, oh, and I used to play harmonica and the guitar and keep going, and it was just so weird. And every time I would see her in the neighborhood before the cat died, she was so nice. I'd be like, oh, the kitty and everything, and she had the dog, and they were just like such nice people. It was a couple months later that I ended up getting Ruby and Pearl. And like I said, I got Ruby and Pearl. It was like I couldn't get another cat for a while. I was like, I can't. You're not trying to replace them. But my other aunt said, if you get some more cats, you'll get, like, because she had lots of cats. She had cats that passed away. This was my other aunt, not Tootie. Then she said, if you get cat, we could get 2 kittens so they could like keep each other company. So it was in my mind, but I didn't have the heart to do it for a couple months. I didn't get any cats right away, but I had been thinking about it, and then I got the 2 little terrors. No, they got them, and Ruby looked more like Tinkle Paw. It was like I was never trying to replace them, and then sometimes like, maybe I should got something completely different because I didn't want to But I love the Tinkle Paw is so beautiful. I just love the long hair cats. I just think they're so pretty, and I was like, oh, I'll just get one, in her honor. But there was no one could ever replace Tinkle Paw. She was just like the coolest cat ever. She just was like. I mean, how they say cats pick you? Like, this was definitely a case where that cat picked me. Like, she knew I needed her, and like wherever she was like, she must have had right, and she was there. She was there when I needed her, and she was just like, that was like one of the best parts of being in Scranton again, like having my little buddy. My little buddy was like, I was living in this house, remodeling it. So after that happened, it was like, a couple months went by, and then I ended up getting. And that's a different story I'll say for another day, but but like I just think that's amazing. I mean, when you look at the divine and mystical of it all, and like I said, it's just we cry when they're gone because we miss them. We're the ones left remaining on earth, and we're always mourning. We're mourning them. But as the years go by, like I know that my dad wouldn't want me to cry every time I thought of him. Like, so I try to remember. And I do, like the good times and the laughing and the times whatever. We're at a vacation. Like, try to remember the good times, but it's so hard when you're human because you just like start to cry when you think of them. But you don't, because now you're crying because you miss them, But yeah, so that's the story of Kitkat Tinkle Paw. And I knew I would cry. I can't do it without crying. That's why. But I don't want to make anyone sad. That's not what this is about. So maybe I'll just put this as a little other video somewhere, but. Or maybe I'll make it part of the episode. But tune out if you don't want to be sad. Is it a sad story, or is it like a divine story? Is inspiring? Is it faithful? Like, I just think that cat was an angel sent to me. Like, you know what? Because she got me through a time. She could give me the hope, and she was, I loved her so much. I took care of her, and and it came to this sad ending, and it's just like, oh, how much more can you take? Like, gosh. It's like so sad. My Aunt Hannah died during that time. It was like I was just like, well, and now the cat. And she was so cute. I used to dress her up in little I would put her. She was just like the best sport. She would just sit there. I have the cutest I would put my dad's scarf on her. I have pictures, and I remember I would send it. Lori would send it to her mom Hannah, and Hannah laughed. Lori was like, my mom was laughing so much at the outfits, and the cat was just like, how some cats are like, she was just like posing. She was like. She was so freaking cool. Like I said, it was my first experience. So then when I got the 2 kittens, I'm like, oh, oh my gosh, the kittens. I guess kittens, they're babies. So like, but they were completely like different. I was like, and I kept them indoors. And now they're indoor cats because I was paranoid to ever have them go outside. And when you adopt cats like that, they always say they're supposed to stay indoors. So there you go. Then you have the different circumstances with indoor cats, and they have their own personalities. But sometimes, and Tinkle Paw would do this. She would like cross her arms. She would come and sit and like, I'm here. Do any of your cats do that? Like she'll sit and then she just like a lady. She just like crosses her arms like, I'm here. And maybe my mom was like, she looks like you, because she would sit there and she looked kind of mean sometimes. Like, I'm like, oh my god, she's like me. Remember I was saying like the thing I was always thinking, like people thought I was angry, but I wasn't angry. I was just thinking, and that's how she was. She was like the nicest cat ever. So guys, if you lost a pet, we'll say a little prayer moment for our pets. That they say they cross the rainbow bridge and all dogs go to heaven, and animals are different. Like it was my first animal I had. That was mine. The first animal I lost in such a short time too. I only had her for like a year and a half. Maybe it was I don't remember exactly. Maybe it was 2 years. It wasn't that long, but it was so impactful, and that's why I have my little thing on my screen. Has her little angel wings. That's Tinkle Paw, and I have her little things here, and she's always with us. So our animals live in our hearts and with us. They're like such a part of us. So that's the story. So I hope you enjoyed the story. If you have any input or you think that, like, what do you think that what? Like, what are the odds of that? Do you guys think it's as crazy as I did? Did when you heard the punchline that her name was Kitkat Tinkle Paw and I named my cat Kitkat Tinkle Paw? Do you think that's weird? Do you think there's any symbolism there or what it might mean? Curious to know if you got through the whole story. I know it was a long story, but like I said, I talk a lot and it's part of the story. You got to know the whole context for it to be as impactful. It was a big thing for me. And let me know what you guys think.
I love you till the end. It's more than just a feeling. 이렇게 말해줘. I've been waiting for your love.
Are you enjoying the podcast? If you'd like to support what I'm building, you can buy me a coffee. Every bit of support helps me keep this podcast going and release my music independently. You can leave a one-time tip or become a member for a few dollars a month and unlock exclusive content and behind-the-scenes footage you won't find anywhere else. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/Hollis-Mahady or scan the code you see on the screen. Holly's Playhouse is a raw, real, and emotionally charged docu-style miniseries following the turbulent journey of me, singer-songwriter Hollis-Mahady, who left Scranton, Pennsylvania in 2010 to chase stardom in Hollywood. For nearly a decade, I fought to make my mark in the entertainment industry until 2019, when the world changed overnight. Told through a lens of humor, heartbreak, and hope, this is a deeply personal series that captures the highs and lows of a creative spirit navigating sudden change. If you want to check it out, head over to www.vopusaradio.com. Just go down to the Arts and Entertainment channel and you'll find it there for free to watch. And I am back, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. Let's remove this from the screen. Tech board operator. Can you get that off the screen? Let's remove that. Remove. Oh, there we are. We're back. Hold on. I'm here. Okay, there we go. Very good. How's everyone doing? You are watching Hollis-Tics, and I'm your host, Hollis-Mahady, and I am back here in my other set. And so what do you think, guys? Anybody made it through that whole story? Did people tune out? I told you it was a little bit sad, but it was something, I don't know. I wanted to tell the story for a long time. I thought it was important. And as I said, now we'll tune up the vibe because it is heavy, it is sad, but it's life, right? Like these are the things that are just so impactful. And there she is. If you look at that little on the left, maybe it's the right or left for you. There's my little baby there. That's Tinkle Paw. She's always watching over us, and all our pets are. They're always with us. Pets are animals are just awesome. So I'll go up to the comments here. We'll be a little happy music here. Let's do a little. I don't know if this is happy music here. We'll be happy now.
We're back. I'm Hollis Mahady, your host of Hollis-Tics every weeknight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're here, I appreciate you stopping in. Remember, you could drop a tip in the tip jar. If you're enjoying the podcast, support the show. Support the show if you like it. We're here, real human connection. HollisMahady.com. All right, there's the rock music. I could maybe get some better music in here, but hey, it's a start, right? There you go. So let's go to the chat room. Any comments up there? I see Aaron Mashad is here. Aw. And he says, these tears heal a weary heart. Yes. Aw. And I did tell Aaron that story. I don't know if I ever showed you the card, Aaron, though. I don't know if I had it then. Because it was a part of the story too. Like just the card and it literally said on the card, obviously the cat was on the card, but it said, keep your eye on the cat. And these things that people know or we notice, like what are the odds that I found that card of all the stuff in the house? And we at that point we had, donated and had to get, had to get rid of some of the stuff. And it was hard, but like of all the stuff that remained, the card, I'm like, oh my gosh, like really? I mean, and some people who don't maybe notice the details, like sometimes when you look at things, and people do that with numbers too, and like 1111 and certain numbers, and that number keeps popping up on the clock, and that like here's the whole thing. We'll get into that in another show, Ocean to Ocean, about the numerology and the numbers and the symbolism and what these things means. But you might not really notice it if you don't. Sometimes you don't take the time, or you just don't notice it. But when you look sometimes deeper, but sometimes these signals and clues, I mean, they were right there, and I was like, wow. So, long story, crazy story, but I thought it was, no, you didn't know about the card. Isn't that crazy though? And the picture on it looked just like her. And that is a poem in the card. It's a sad poem, but my grandma, this is, I like to have happy episodes because I don't want people to feel bad and sad. We're here to be happy, but like this is life, right? And it's real. So I always say this show over here is dedicated to all the ones we loved who are no longer with us, but you're always in our heart. When I do these shows and stuff, I always think about my dad. He would be really happy to see me out and doing it. And I know he would. And he's always watching and they're always with us. It's hard. But so in memory of all of our angels, they're all watching over us. And that's why I keep little Tinky over there. I called her Tinky. But yeah, it's a crazy, and this is dedicated to Mary Mahady. Choose my grandma. Love you. Love them all. Miss them all so much. But let's see what else we got going on over here in the chat room. Should I change up the background a little bit? But if I change the background, then I get rid of my, oh, here, wait, hold on. Oh, there. I thought that was for the TGI Friday. That's kind of cool, isn't it? I like that. I like that a lot. So let's get into maybe what we should do, because we are approaching the 2-hour mark. Actually, we are over that, and we are at the top of the hour. So maybe it's time for the segment, the comments of the day. And I received another lovely comment, a nice comment. So with a nice comment, we'll do an applause. Nice comment. Maybe people are like, oh, maybe I shouldn't put anything mean on her. That she might talk about me on air. And if you're really a jerk, I will say your last name. But because you know what? I guess if you're online, if you leave a comment, it says your full name. Hey, it's fair game. It's like you said it, right? So I put out the troll video last night. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people saw it, but not the troll video. It wasn't a troll video, but it was highlighting some of I played it last night on the show. It's on my YouTube if you're interested. It's on my website, hollismahady.com. It's on the website there about the little compilation of my comments of last week. I mean, I might do it again for this week. I don't know. It's nice. I'm getting some nicer, more supportive comments. And let's go to the chat room real quick before we get into the comment of the day. Joe says, well, thinking about the story, I would say that God was giving you comfort when you needed it most with Tinkle Paw. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes and she was just like I said, like a little wise spirit, I think she was like, okay, I did my job. My job is done. And I'm sure she's in a good place. And then God may have reminded you that nothing lasts forever, and don't get too comfortable and to set, because things always change and test your strength as a person. Yep, absolutely. They say God give it, then you take it the way. It's like these things, and you get attached to so many things, and but that's true. That's true. And I didn't handle it good. It was really hard. And if you watch, like I keep going back to it, because actually there's some in Holly's Playhouse, she she crossed the Rainbow Bridge right before I was doing a big show at Montage Mountain. And I was practicing for that show for like 5 months, for months, because it was my first show out as myself as Hollis. So without that sounds weird. It was my first show without a band. And I had gotten a grant from Scranton. So thank you, Scranton. That was awesome. And it's all again it's documented there. And I was practicing and practicing, and it happened like 2 weeks before the show. And I was just like, and I needed to still get things together because I was doing everything myself. It was the first time I was using a laptop on stage. It was the first time I was completely solo, and I was in the studio getting my backing tracks made and all this stuff. And it did definitely tested my strength because I was like, how am I was there was a whole week that I was so sad. I was like I just was drinking beer and I was drowning my sorrows and I couldn't move. I was just so sad. I couldn't even get out of bed sometimes that. It was a good week. And there was a whole week, but it definitely tested my strength. I remember, you're just like trying to deal with it. I had the jacket I wore, and I still have it for that show. I had printed out a picture of her, and I printed it out like on the fabric, and then I didn't sew it, but I pinned it on the back, and I was like, oh, like, this show's for my cat. And yeah, so it definitely tested your strength, and it's a weird. Joe says, and in your journey in life, you have passed all of those tests very well. Oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope what I'm saying makes sense because that's the impression that I kind of got. Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. It does make so much sense. That's what I thought. And again, it was a really long story, but I think it has the story, the context makes it even more why she was so impactful. And it came at a time I needed her. And I said, I didn't say that much. She died on Easter. It was Easter morning. So it was like, wow, the symbolism there and everything. It was just, it was honestly one of those things that it impacts you for life. Aaron says, well said. And thank you. Thank you, Joe. And hello, Jason. Jason's in the chat room. Bike, Jason. And he's there and he's doing his thing. And I'm glad to have you here. I love all of you guys. Thank you for coming in. So should we get into the comments of the day? Let's go over to our media assets. Board operator Hollis. Oh, yes. Here you go, Hollis. Here's your board operator thing that I will give for you. Okay, so here's the comment of the day. And let's see if we have it. It was in here earlier. Let me see. Oh, I know where it is. Okay, hold on. Because Dan helped me with this earlier. We're going to go to the comment of the day. All right, here we go. The comments of the day. All right, I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to go, wait, I want to be on here as well. Hold on one second. Add to stage, and then I want to make it smaller. I'm just trying to do it so you could see me as well. Oh, no, you can't see me. I wonder if you could hear me. See, this is a thing. This is where a producer would come in and lots of handy. I just want to make sure. In the comments, guys, can you hear me? Just give me a thumbs up or a yes if you could hear me talking over the comments. Real quick, were you guys able to hear me when I was talking? Maybe not. Hold on one second. You could hear me? Okay, cool. Because I did it the first night and I was reading everything and I kept talking and it wasn't, you weren't able to hear me because I was in a different studio. So this is a beautiful comment. And speaking of family, as I mentioned in my Tinkle Paw story, I was talking about Lori, and Lori's my cousin and my Aunt Hannah. And Lori's sister is my other cousin, Leslie, and she made the comment of the day. So I will put that up on the screen here and I will read the comment of the day. And she's my cousin. There's our whole family there. And Leslie says, congratulations, cuz, on you having a podcast. I'm enjoying it so much. And you're so right. AI is changing everything in the world. And we are the last generation to see everything shifting over. We got to go swimming, ride bikes, play games, and actually be outside and not know what it was like to have a phone by our side 24/7. I'm glad we got to experience that. It's a little sad to know that the new world is different now. And yes, we all use AI, which I do sometimes too. and it's very helpful, but also scary to know it's going to take over the world one day. Even now, sometimes if friends are come over, I'll put a movie or show on, but most of the time they're on their phones watching YouTube video, TikTok, etc. I don't actually put my phone down because I want to. I do actually. I don't. I actually put my phone down, excuse me, because I want to enjoy the moment. So I like to disconnect from the electronic world and kind of do it 90s styles. That's the way to do it. It's what I know best and was raised that way. And I'm trying to keep that going and not have it die out. But anyways, your podcast is so fun to listen to. I love it. I'm going to watch the rest of them. So that was my cousin Leslie there. Wait, hold on. Let me remove. Here we go. Yes. And that was really nice that, she was watching. I guess she watched the first episode and everything and what we're talking about. And, she's Leslie's younger than me, but a couple of years younger than me. But she said she's one of the last, she didn't have the phone and 24/7, 24/7. So it's a theme I talk about a lot, as you guys know, if you're watching it. And I said, what we call it the hide and seek generation, that we were the last of people, I think, born in the 80s. We were the last without having phones in high school or in phones in elementary school or high school. I didn't have a phone in high school. It was really not till college until I got a phone. So we were that last generation. So she understands that. And big shout out to my cousin Leslie. I love you. Um, I miss you, and to her husband and to everybody, and to Lori, of course, but to her husband John, and great, amazing people. I love them very much, and it's really nice to get the support. So I really appreciate that, and I'm glad you're enjoying them. This, like I said, this episode's a little sad, a lot sad, but not all of it, just those 10 minutes or so. But we're keeping it real here on Holistics. That's what we do, and yeah, so that was a nice comment, and I appreciate that a lot. So tune in for Friday nights. We'll keep the theme going on Friday nights, the TGIF Friday. I said maybe we could watch an episode or something because it's so funny. Like some of the stuff that we thought was so cool. It's like you look back now and it's like so cheesy, but I think that's the beauty of it, the innocence of it, right? It was just like sitcoms and the I always say the laugh tracks. I don't know. Like I said, they're shot in front of a real studio audience and all that. So it's funny when you hear sometimes when you hear other people laughing, then you start laughing. And I think that's why they do laugh tracks. It's not always a real audience. They put them in at certain times. So you're like, okay, I'm supposed to laugh now. But yeah, it was a Friday nights TGIF. Not everybody remembers that, but we're gonna bring it back here because I said if it's gone and missing, if there's a need for it, sometimes you have to create it. And because, I can't, no, I can. I don't say we can't because I think we could do this. If there are any writers out there or TV people or just writers who have ideas for sitcoms or shows like that, I really think that we can put our own TGI Friday together. It may not happen overnight. So in the meantime, we talk about it, we'll play clips and stuff like that. But I have a comedy show in mind that could be on it. And if there's more, we need 3 other comedy shows, 3 half-hour comedy shows to make our own lineup at TGI Friday. And like I said, we have half of the battle here. We have the network to put it on. When you listen to the song, it says Voice of the People USA Friday nights are here. That's the network. We're actually on TV. We're on Roku and we're on Fire TV, VOPUSARadio.com. And I am broadcasting right there, right now on the Health, Faith, and Spirituality channel. If you go to the live streams, I should be right there. If you're on Roku, you want to see me on a bigger screen, it's there. It's there. So all these things can happen. And like I said, I like to follow through on my word. It might take a while. Might not be, who knows, until next year at this time. Maybe it'll be sooner. If we get some help, get some sponsors, gets the tips rolling in. Money makes the dream move faster. So with that said, in case you need a reminder, I'm Hollis Mahady, hollismahady.com. Drop a tip in the tip jar if you were enjoying the podcast because tips support the show. And speaking of show, I forgot to do this, and I meant to do it because I want to do the live drawing and pull the tip, or not the tip, out of the tip cup. I want to pull a name because we hit our goal. Thanks to everybody here in the chat room has contributed, and you were automatically in the running to win one of those lyric sheets. And now when I say those lyric sheets, when I said I was making them, it was during that week after Tinkle Paw, I was on the porch and I wrote all these lyrics out and I painted them all and I was trying to keep myself busy. So it was those are like every time I look at them, it kind of reminds me of that time. But so those sheets are very near and dear to my heart. I only have about 25 of them, and I will be giving them away. And I hate to do it, but I'm thinking because I forgot to prepare and I want to do the drum roll and have the cup and everything and pull the name out. I forgot to do it. I meant to do it. So if it's okay, we will do the drawing tomorrow and we will pull the name and see who won the lyric sheet. And it will start again. We're starting it again. So think I'll just do another lyric sheet if anyone's interested. And you do a tip and you will be automatically entered. It doesn't matter the amount, but every time you do a tip, then I'll put your name in the hat and or the cup and we'll draw it when we get to that $100. So we will do that tomorrow, I promise. I meant to do it tonight and I forgot to prepare. I knew there was something I'm forgetting. I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, I'm ready. Finally, I'm early, I'm on time. And then I forgot to prepare that. So we will have Tom hopefully in the going to say in the chat room, but hopefully I have him behind the scenes here and he could do the drum roll and make it all fancy and stuff. And that will be Wednesday night on Hollis-Tics because I am Hollis Mahady and I'm here every weeknight at 7:00 p.m. Eastern time. So tell me guys, anything else good going on in the chat room? Anyone hitting their goals today? Did anyone hit their goals? I did go to the gym. I did some swimming, which was nice. Did some hot tubbing. And I did a little steaming and sauna, and it felt really great. So let's see. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Another thing I thought about, we got to make some money here, right? We got to make some money. Merchandise. I want to get some merchandise made. And there's something I wanted to do. And maybe someone out there knows how to do this or has experience with this, but I wanted to make a board game. And because my album is called A Comedy of Errors, and I talk a lot about like the game of life, and I just see it all in my head, not with the chess and all these, the game. Life is a game, right? What chess piece are we moving? What are you in the game right now? Are you a pawn? Are you a king? Are you a queen? I never really played chess. I played it once or twice. I kind of know a little bit about the idea, but I know. Does anyone out there play chess? I think Aaron plays chess. He said, but I love games, and I love. As Aaron knows, I love games. We played Categories a couple times, Outburst. No, we don't think we played Outburst. But I love games, and I think we should do trivia here. So I will get some cards and stuff, and we could play a little game together. But I love games, and I always say life is a gift. It's a game we play, right? That's my song covers. Maybe I'll play it. Because you guys already saw it a bunch of times. But for anyone new out there, in case you haven't seen it, this is covers. And it says, life is a gift. This game we play. And this is why I want to make merchandise. I want to make some t-shirts. I was thinking, well, everyone makes t-shirts, but for my music, I do need to get some new merchandise made. And I have some ideas about stuff. I want to do a necklace with the hourglass in there because that's one of my symbols that I talk about a lot, about the hour, the clock and the running out of time and what like time is illusion, all that stuff. So we got to get some merchandise here too. So then I could sell it. So I'm thinking about all these ideas, but here's the covers. This is the song.
Life is a gift, the game we play.
There you go. And there you see it there with the chessboard and everything. So I think that would be a really cool comedy of errors piece of merchandise. But it would be like, obviously, you remember the game of life? And I played that when I was a kid. Did anyone else play that? I'm sure someone here has, with the car. And it's like, okay, and you just had a kid and you put the little peg in there and it's like pink or blue and your car is getting filled and you're like going in the game of life and you're spinning the wheel and We should get that game. I haven't played it since I was younger. I don't remember, but something like that where it has the chat and it's like, oh, you met this person and it knocked you back 3 years, or you made a bad move and you're so putting together some kind of a game, you could sell it as a game. I used to have the Labyrinth game. It was such a cool game because that was one of my favorite movies. Anybody ever see that movie Labyrinth? I'm sure people have seen it out there with the Jim Henson movie. I love that movie. That was one of my favorite movies. I could quote that whole movie. I must have watched it like 10,000 times, maybe not that many, when I was a kid because we had a video store. Oh, now this maybe it's for the 80s night. Video stores, remember those guys? We had a store right next to our house. It was like on Prescott Avenue there, which I was talking about, where my dad was. And literally like 3 houses, you didn't have to cross the street. There was a video store. So every Friday night, we would get to go and pick out a video and rent a video. And at my top choice, it was always Labyrinth. I must have seen it like 100 times. And you have to go and pay the $3 or $4 or whatever, and they have to go say, "Is it in?" She would go behind the thing and be like, "Oh, someone else rented it. I have to get something else." But I love that movie, and they're in the labyrinth with David Bowie and everything, and all the characters, and I don't know. I think I used to draw them upstairs, my dad's desk. I would when they were on Friday nights. I would be trying to draw the characters. I wasn't really a good artist as far as drawing goes. That's definitely no. I was never really good at that. But I think artists are amazing. They mine would always never. They just didn't look good. They were just and my drawing never evolved. I did definitely a skill. A skill. I'm sure maybe you could learn how to do it, but some people are just like they could do a portrait of your face and you're like, "Wow, how did they do that?" Like it looks just like you. It's so good. It's definitely a skill, and I want it's like we have it or you don't. I don't know. I think you could learn drawing classes and all that. Excuse me. Here, take a sip of our Trader Joe's sparkling black tea with peach juice. What are you guys drinking out there? Anyone drinking? What's your beverage of choice tonight? But yeah, The Labyrinth. I love that movie. But like even just as a young child shaping my personality or whatever, it was always characters and things. And I loved Kermit the Frog. And I used to draw Kermit the Frog. I was good at drawing him. I could always draw him and I would draw him on everything. So the one thing I learned and it looked just like him. So I would do a project. I think I did a project in like 8th grade and it was I don't remember. It was something where you had to pick someone, and I think I picked Jim Henson, and I was like talking about the labyrinth and Kermit the Frog, and maybe I think we had to make a puppet or something. Maybe it wasn't make a puppet, but I always love that weird characters and things like that. But back to the labyrinth game, it was not that long ago. It was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I saw the labyrinth game. I think it was at the bookstore, and I was like, I want to get that, and I bought it. It was around my birthday and I didn't end up playing it for, like, a long time, but I had it. It was like a collector's item. I still have it. I was like, "This is a labyrinth." And then Dan and I thought I made Dan play it. We played it in Maine. I finally have it's like, we're carrying this game around. We're gonna play it one night. And it was New Year's Eve, I think. And I don't remember. I think we just played it for a little while. It was and then we didn't finish it all. But it was more about, like, it had the characters, and if you watch Labyrinth, Ludo and Sir Genimus, and I think Sarah was one of them. She was the main character, Jennifer Connelly, and, they were the pieces, and there was the clock and all that, and it was cool, but I don't really remember. There was a lot of rules, and they're like, I didn't read them all. Like, I think I got impatient, and I was like, "Oh." But, anyway, that kinda was like, I wanna have a game like that. I think that would be really cool to have the Comedy of Errors board game. So, if anyone knows, people who make games or something, you'd probably have to put it all together, and then you have to get it made. It would be cool with the when the time runs out, then it's done, and you make your games like that. That would be really cool. Always love games, especially card games. I have been an avid card player since the age of 4, which puts me at 1972 there. And there's my favorite song, and that's where my favorite of all sorry, that's where my favorite song of all time that I loved when I was a little kid is still my favorite number 1 song today. Yes, Joe, what is that song? Because you asked me before we went into the kitty video if I had a song when I was younger, if I still have this same favorite song. I have to think about that one. I'm trying to think. Trying to remember. I'm gonna have to think about that 'cause I'm sure there is, like, that I love that song as a kid, and then when you hear it again well, a lot of songs, I don't know if I love them now because it brings me back to those memories. Because I said a lot of the songs I love now is because I listened to them as a kid, and now it reminds me of a kid, but I don't know if I loved it when I was a kid. I think I liked it. I don't know, because it reminds me of my mom. Like, she always said she would play that song, "Love Grows Where Your Rosemary Goes," or "Love Grows." I always play it. I love that song, but I think it's because it reminds me of my mom, it reminds me of good times, and it's one of her favorite songs, and it is just a good song. Always love that song. But Joe says his favorite song is Crosby, Stills& and Nash, "Wooden Ships." What? I wish again, producer, can you pull that one up? 'Cause I don't know if I like Crosby, Stills& and Nash. I would listen to, like, Sweet Jude what is it, Judy Blue Eyes? Sweet that one, Teach Your Children Well, and all that. I like those. I don't know if I know that one. I might. I'll have to listen to it. But is that's one that you love from one back in the day and you still hear it? And Cats in the Cradle, that was one. 'Cause that one reminds me of my dad so much. My dad was very emotional and deep inside, and he was like, "Oh, it's like" if you know the Cats in the Cradle, it's kind of a sad song, But Joe says, "It brings those happiest memories before I started school alive, and then it became my theme song when I left the city suburban life for good at the age of 50 and moved out here to the country." Aw. Yeah, the wooden ships. It's funny, it's like the soundtrack of our lives, right? That's why music is so important and why I advocate for it so much about you get sick of me with this subject probably with AI and stuff. I said it the other night in the show. Like there's just certain music you cannot replicate this music. This came from like people, real people who were living through things and writing it and all that stuff. You can't replicate this good music. And that's why I always say, if you find an artist you like and you support them because there's not that many left. I don't think because everyone could be an artist or everyone can't be an artist. I'm sorry. Like everyone could be a musician. Yes, of course you can. Everyone could. But an artist is someone who tells stories through their music and they are like that identity. And it's like there's a difference between a singer, someone who's just a really good singer, and then there's someone who dedicates their life to it to learn how to write the songs because there's a lot of singers who don't write any of their own songs. That's fine too. Songwriting is not easy, especially to write good songs. So I think a real artist is someone who is able to, write their songs as well. And, that could be up for debate, because I don't know if Elvis wrote his own songs. He might have, but Elvis was a great entertainer. Elvis was an artist, but I'm just saying like, there's a difference. There's a difference between just so an American Idol, you know what I mean? There's so many good voices. How can there really are. There's like a lot of people have a great voice, but do you dedicate your life to bringing that out, your own soul into that? Is an artist really someone who bears their soul to the world and shares that music so others can enjoy it and connect and make those memories? Music is so important. It's the soundtrack, like I always say, to people's lives, and it gets you through hard times, whatever kind it is. If it's heavy metal music, or if it's country music, or if it's Crosby, Stills and Nash, or if it's I don't know, like where the music going to be in like 20 years? Oh, remember that AI generated robot made that one, and that was the robot band, and that I don't know where are we going to be? Who knows? But Jason says, Hollis, what genre is your music? I would say my new music. It's funny you ask because I'm like, what kind of music? I'll ask Dan. I was like, what is it exactly? Because certain songs are, different. There's a little bit of different styles on there. I guess I would say it's alternative, whatever that means, because I don't know exactly what it is. I can't say it's all rock because it's not rock music. In my song covers, it's a little bit rocky at the beginning. I would say it's rock, but then I have a song called Edenshire that's I feel is like almost like I want to say folk, like Celtic. No, it's not like Celtic, but it's like it has like strings and it's like Shadow Dance has some strings, but it has like some rock in there as well. So I would say alternative. I like to say rock and soul. I thought that was cool. Rock and soul. It has soul to it. It has some piano, but then Hole in Our Hearts is a more of a like a ballad. It's more sad. So that's definitely not rock. So I guess the safest thing, I guess, is alternative. Indie rock, not rock. It's indie alternative. Um, and Mugga Dirt Biker says the lyrics of that song very much describes my life that I had chosen to be very free and easy in a rural setting. That's cool. Yep. I used to always listen to that song. It Never Rains in Southern California. You know that song? It's like, girl, it's like, it never rains in California. But girl, don't they warn ya? Oh, it pours, man, it pours. I remember being out there. My mom was the one who said it. She's like, I think of you sometimes because it's like, you're out of, like, I left the coast to make it big in California and all that. That song. That was, what was that guy's name who did it? I forget. I forget his name, but it's a good song. So many good songs back from there. Like America. Oh, I always love that song. And again, like we listen, the words wasn't really the words I was listening to, it was the feeling. That one, Sister Golden Hair, or I think that's what it's called. And it's by America. And every time I hear that, that's one of those where you're just like, oh, you're back. It's just, again, I don't know where I got that feeling from because it brings you back to a memory. It's like a perfume. When you smell a perfume, there's still like there's this one perfume, boom, you're back in high school. Or CK1, or there was this one I would always used to wear from the Gap. It was called Earth. You know how they like Heaven, Earth, and there was other ones too, Grass or something, but it was Earth. And if I smelled that right now, it just like you're back to high school. It's just amazing. And you can get into the brain and how you remember these scents and music, how it just transport you, or how music is so healing. It can be so healing, music. Especially good music. That's why I fight for it. And it probably sounds all about me, like my music's the best thing ever. I don't say that at all. I'm not saying that. Like, I love it. It's good to me. You might be like, oh, it's kind of good. I don't know. It's cool. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But I'm just saying, like, that's why it's so important to preserve the artists and help them because it is tough. It's tough to break through. Like I say it all the time on the show. It's not even like the hard part you think is done. The album's recorded. I have songs in the bag that I want to go and record again. But it's like, will anyone ever hear them? Because I'm competing against robots and AI music and 7 million tracks like a month or a week or something or a day. Who knows? And on all these platforms on Spotify. And it's all these classes. How do you break through? And I'm like, as I say, competing, that's why I'm just putting it out. I'm going to try to put it out soon. But competing against people on TikTok, like the 14-year-old, like literally they're going to have 1 million followers because they know how to break the algorithm. And I'm like, man, I said it the other day, I posted as a clip. It's like, could you imagine if Billy Joel, I'm just using him as an example, or I mean, who else? If they were here now, if they were trying to break through right now, they could still be Billy Joel. Would he get famous? He still has the talent. He still has a great songs. But what if he was right now trying to break through TikTok? What if Billy Joel didn't have any money? Would he be able to pay the algorithm or pay the loot, like to boost his posts? Would it be the same? So it's definitely the world is a changing, guys. Oh, it's changing. Or it's changed. Unsweet black tea here. Oh, good. That's what I have. Mine is actually unsweetened. No, it's sweet. It has a little bit of sugar in it. 2 grams. Not too bad. But it's really good. It almost tastes like I had it last night. I'm like, this kind of tastes perfectly peachy. And you're supposed to do this in marketing, right? The advertising. Sip and then go, and then repeat. Excuse me. Repeat. It's a perfectly peachy, ultra fizzy, and subtly sweet. This bold beverage sips like a sparkling summer afternoon, fit to brighten even the dreariest of days. It's a little dreary out there. It was actually a nice day today. It was warmer. And there was some sun out there. You know what they say, when life hands you lemons, ask for peaches instead. Cheers. Cheers, everybody. Wow. Let's see. Never to return. The lyrics of that song. Yes. And I remember the game of life. I had that. Yeah. I remember Monopoly. Who does it? I mean, people still have Monopoly. My nephew plays Monopoly. Monopoly was cool. I haven't played that in so long. I used to play it on the porch with my neighbor Timmy. We would go on the front porch and play board games and cards. We play cards. Josie's an avid card player. I used to play Crazy Eights. That was the one I played. That was pretty easy. Never played bridge. We met a nice lady downstairs, and she was so sweet. We have to I do it. She's like, "Do you play bridge? Maybe you could come over and play bridge with us sometime." So Dan said he plays his bridge. I remember my grandma, my other grandma, Tutu, Tutu we called her, and she played bridge. No, I think bridge, but pinochle. I never played that. I just remember her like I'm going to play pinochle. I don't know. I played some card games, like I said, Crazy Eights was the one, and then what was that other one? A war or something? I don't know. That was a card game. And then there was Uno. Um, yeah, I don't know. So cards, yeah, cards are cool. I used to live in Las Vegas. There was like a card. I know a card trick. Oh, throw a tip in the jar. I'll show you a card trick. Here, I don't have a deck of cards. I don't think we have a deck of cards here, actually, though. But again, if you are liking the show, guys, if you're just dropping in, if you're watching this on Rumble, remember we are on VOPUSARadio.com. You want to go there every night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm your host, Hollis, and I'm here for the duration, here connecting, having some conversations, and talking about things that I don't know if a lot of people are talking about. Maybe they are. But if you are watching and you're liking the show, if you want to support, go on over and you can drop a tip in the tip jar by scanning that QR code right there. And tomorrow we are going to do the drawing. We're going to get the drum roll. And tomorrow will be Wednesday already, the middle of the week. And again, in case you weren't here all 3 hours, how dare you not sit here and watch for 3 hours. But you, my friend that I don't know, are doing good. And I think you deserve a round of applause. I like to do that once in a while, in case no one's told you, because I don't think sometimes I don't think people remind each other enough or take a moment to say, "How you doing, really?" You know how that is. Like, "How you doing?" You just hope they say, "Good, I'm good, fine, bye." Yeah, how I really doing? You really want to know? You want to really know how I'm doing? And I say, "Good, you." But you're not doing really good. You're not really doing good, but you don't want to tell a stranger because it's just like, "How you doing?" Don't ask if you don't want to know. Someone's, "Oh, how are you?" "I'm good, great." "Oh, I'm great." Oh. So if you are doing good, I hope you are doing good, but you don't have to be fake here. You keep it real. We are here to support, but in case no one told you, you are doing good, and keep going and give yourself a round of applause for getting through maybe a hard day, maybe you had a great day. And sometimes we just try to get through it. And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to just get through life. I want to create a life I love, so we don't just get through it." But sometimes you do. Sometimes it's hard. Certain things you're trying to get through. We have to do something you don't want to do, or whatever. Something's happened. But here, this one's for you guys, for those new viewers out there, and the ones who are here as well. Good job. Hollis-Tics, from me to you, you're doing good. So back into the chat room here. Time does fly fast here. And we are getting up to the top of the hour again. And it's been almost 3 hours. So with that said, I think I'll play a couple of little videos here, maybe just for the new people who came in. And I want to say a big shout out and thank you to everybody in the chat room. As I said, I love when you guys are here. Simp and I don't know what this means, but it's a new face. Or I shouldn't say a new face. It's a new screen name I haven't heard before. But thank you for dropping in. And he says, Andromeda says, Adzeco something Spotify. I'm not sure what that means if you want to elaborate on that. But thanks for popping in. Thanks for popping in here. I guess you found us on the Rumble there. So thank you for coming in. If I don't know, I know what Spotify is, but I'm not sure what that is. And Joe says, I remember that song very well, but I can't think of the artist offhand. But yeah, I'll have to think about that more, about the songs and stuff, like which one from childhood that got me here. There's still some songs from childhood, like I think I mentioned on the other podcast. I always loved Broadway when I was a kid. There's certain songs I really loved. Phantom of the Opera was one I played. I knew that since I was really young, and I still love those songs. Again, it's like, is it because of the memories attached to it? They're good memories. They make you feel good. And some of that was just good music. I love Broadway. The theater kid. I was never really a theater kid, but I would go to music camp that was my favorite time. For 2 weeks every summer, I got to go to music camp, and it was a lot of fun. We did like shows, and we'd have a concert at the end and played. I remember I was trying to I wasn't really that good at I played the baritone horn and I played the trumpet, and I don't know. I wasn't really that good at it. And then I remember I tried it and then I went to the dance class instead. I opted to go to do dancing instead of the brass band or the band. But yeah, music camp. Gosh, I haven't thought about that in a long time. That was like a big dork, but I always love music. Music camp. It was a good time. Let's see here. I guess I don't know what that means, but we are here. We're gonna wrap it up pretty soon here. I hate to say goodnight, but I'm hoping that everyone, come back tomorrow if you need some real talk here with Hollis. I'm Hollis Mahady, your host of Hollis-Tics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And here I'll play a little song while I say that stuff. Here, this one is called Feeding the Ducks. Oh yeah. Break it down, guys. How about this one? This one's called Daydreaming. My name's Hollis. I'm here. I would be a good DJ, right? I'm gonna play it. This one's going out to you guys. Call in tonight. Or the love line here. Any relationship advice. There was a lady I always used to listen to. Scranton. I mean, I think she was in Scranton. Her name was Fran Pantuso. And I think she was on like KRZ or something. She might still be there. But I remember I met her years later. We only met her a couple of years ago at some event or something. And she's like, I'm Fran Pantuso. And I always remember that name. Fran Pantuso. She had a great voice. I think she was a DJ. Or maybe she had a love line or something. Or they could call in and ask questions. And she would talk to them and stuff. And she would just play the music and the vibe. I'm watching Hollis-Tics, guys. It just popped in. We're just chilling, having a good time. Sometimes just kind of decompress for the day and, have some sparkling black tea, whatever your choice may be. Appreciate life. Tell that person you love them tonight. If you're having one of those days, we're here for you guys. Call in with your questions. Call in if you talk about it. Remember, you're never alone. You're never alone. We're here for you. I'm here. Yeah. All right, guys. So let's take that off. Again, remember, music is a vibe. Really get your heart beating. For a record. All right, enough of that. Okay. So, gong. That one says gong. It is not making a noise though. Maybe I have to push play. This says bounce. It's not doing it. I don't know. So, that's how it started, right? And then we got the crickets. I guess if you play too much of that music, people are leaving and they're like, oh, it's too mellow for me. And then you're like, you're by yourself. Like, yeah. But anyway, guys, I had a great time tonight. It was, hopefully we'll watch this back and it won't be blurry. Because that's what happened last night. I was on for almost 3 hours. We had a good conversation. And I played that video earlier about the blurry camera. So, God willing, the camera is not blurry when I play this back. But we have the Tinkle Paw video. This is definitely this episode. Aw, Aaron, I missed that. I love you too, Aaron. We love you. We love you a lot. Those kind of songs have a life of their own. Yep. I like this track. Oh, yeah. That one is what's really cool with this dance that I could preload some songs in there and stuff. So, yeah, we will get to that point. I think it would be really cool to do like a DJ, like whatever. And it doesn't have, Dan could do it too, but like 60s and we could play some of these songs. We could load them up, play some of our favorite, and take requests. That would be cool. But Wooden Ships, did you ever hear that? I'm going to listen to that if I remember later. I liked it. I bet I might know it, Joe. I probably do. Wooden Ships is an extremely soothing track. Jefferson Airplane did an excellent version of that song in the same year, 1969, using the piano, where CSN or Crosby, Stills and Nash used the organ. Yes, they're another good one, Jefferson Airplane. My mom always loved them. They did the White Rabbit, right? They did other songs too, but there's that Grace Slick there. I love Jefferson Airplane. Yep. When the truth is found to be eyes and all the light in me. Right? Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you? Got me singing here. But tonight we are representing Ohio. There it is. There it is. Ohio in the house. Yeah. Karaoke. You know, we could get guests on here. So I'm working to all this stuff. It's all coming. But we're having a good time even as it is. But yeah, some karaoke and stuff. Love Jefferson Airplane. Don't know. Yes. So back over here, guys. As we wrap up the evening, it's that time where I guess it's time to say goodbye. But I will be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And Thursday we got dance show coming on, Politishock. And so I'm working on 2 new shows. I have 3. We have 3 or 4 shows like waiting. But unfortunately, they're waiting for me to come in because I have to make a lot of some stuff for it. But they're in the pipeline there, and they're coming soon. So I have to do some stuff for that afterwards. But that's what I'll be working on tonight. But yes, let me play a couple videos again. If you like the music I was playing, talking about music, Epidemic Sounds is what I use. If any content creators are out there and they need licensed music for their stream or for their videos, this is a great service. This is what I use. And if you go to my website, hollismahady.com, you could get a free trial for that if you click on that. And I have my playlist there. And the playlist are the songs that I use in some of these videos, like my intro and my outro and my meditation thing, where I put them on a playlist. So you could get them. You could get a 30-day free trial. And then I think it's like $15 a month. But it's great because then you're not worried, will this get taken off YouTube? Or will I get a strike because it's, copyrighted music? This is what you're going to get.
Are you liking the music in the show? The music you hear in my videos and during the show is licensed through Epidemic Sound, an amazing platform for creators. If you make videos, podcasts, or content of your own, head over to hollismahady.com, go to the podcast page, and sign up for a free trial using my link. And if you're just a listener looking for new music, you'll also find my playlist of favorite songs I use in this show. Signing up through my link supports the show and the musicians too.
And I will say this as well. If you want to support the show and you need some new music, there's a little band called Love Zombies. That was my former band, and I'm selling my whole music collection that has 2 albums from the Love Zombies, an EP from the Love Zombies, a Christmas album of me doing Christmas songs, and a few of my original songs as well, including, I think it's on there. I don't know if it is. I don't remember now. A cover of The Lonely People. There's a cover of I'll Never Walk Alone on there. And that's a great way to support the show as well. If you are watching this and you're like, oh, who's that girl? Maybe I'll check out her old music because I have a lot of new music coming out. It's not out yet. But this is a great way. And it's only $20 right now. All my music in one place, over 30 songs. So that's another way to support the show. If you want to get something for your money, you could get some music. As I say, support the artist. Support the artist if you can. There's a lot of great songs here.
Need some new tunes to listen to? Why not try the Hollis-Mahady Music Collection? As I move towards the new, I'm closing an old chapter with gratitude. To celebrate the new music on the horizon, I've gathered my complete past collection and made it available all in one place. The collection includes 2 full albums with my previous band, Love Zombies, Passion Fruit, and No Slow songs recorded live at Abbey Road Studios, the Be Honest EP with Love Zombies, Hollis original songs, Hollis cover songs, a bonus Christmas album. And this collection represents the journey that brought me here today and the doorway into what's next. To purchase the music collection, head over to hollismahady.com and go to the store. All funds raised go directly towards promoting and advertising my new album on my own label, Voice of Freedom Records. Thanks so much for supporting independent music.
And there you have it, all in one place. And you could get that on my website. There's a shop there. It's for sale there. And it's also for sale on my Buy Me a Coffee page, which is Hollis-Mahady. It's buymeacoffee.com/Hollis-Mahady. And if you just go to my website, there's lots of links. You'll find it there. And one last thing, as we are wrapping up the night, sorry guys, and this is not applying to the people in the chat room because you guys have all been so generous. So just know I'm playing this in case anyone new is out there and is like, I like her. Maybe I'll support. If you have a business, if you need commercials, if you need help with your streaming, I do it all. I've learned it all. So I'm happy to help because I know what it's like to be overwhelmed by it. And I do have a lot of experience. So if you're interested and you need a creative service, you can also find that on my website. And here you go.
Hi guys, I'm Hollis and I'm here to bring your creative vision to life. Whether it's designing your video thumbnails or editing your content or recording voiceovers for commercials, I've got you covered. I'm part of the in-house production team at Voice of the People USA Radio and Television Network, and over the last 6 years, I taught myself everything from production to post-editing and beyond. I know exactly what it feels like to be stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure where to even begin. And that's exactly why I now offer these services to other people as well. So if you have a project you're working on, you can hit the link below where you can see examples of my work, from commercials I've produced to voiceovers and more. And if you like what you see and think I can help with what you're looking for, feel free to reach out. We can create something awesome together.
Yeah. And Aaron says, I did see that, Aaron, and I meant to tell you, thank you. I'm glad you got that. Thank you for getting that. I think you bought that around Christmas, I remember. And I saw that come in. I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you, Aaron, for buying them. I'm glad he has it, and he has it on his iPad or his iPod, on my iPod Classic. He has an iPod, and I still have the iPad that you gave me. And I have the charger as well. So, I meant to say today we did make an appointment. We're going to go Thursday and get our new phones, the big transition. So thank you, Aaron, for supporting. He has the Love Zombies collection and some other hidden gems in there that are not available anywhere else except on my music collection there. So thank you so much for that. And remember, if you're interested, we are doing another podcast, the Comedy of Errors podcast. I will be shooting that episode very soon. I have to set up the studio and do all that stuff. But in case you want to see what's coming soon, and that is the Comedy of Errors podcast. That's the name of my new album. So guys, I will say a big thank you one more time to everybody in the chat room. I had such a great night tonight. Hopefully the video is not blurry, so cross your fingers for that. Anyone watching out there who's new tonight, I'm Hollis Mahady. I'm your host of Hollis-Tics here, and I will be here again tomorrow night at 7:00 p.m. So with that said, everybody, I love you all. I hope you have a great night. I hope you have a great day tomorrow. And I will close the show, as I always do, with the song from Epidemic Sound, as I talked about. Lights. Close, right? Lights, stars. I see stars in there sometimes. So it's called Lights. And also I wanted to say a big shout out and thank you to the comment of the day. Leslie, if you're watching this, cuzzy, I love you. And I love your husband, and I love your sister. I love your mom. I love all you guys so much. Thank you for your support and watching. And this episode. So when you guys know, the faithful fans and followers who, when I talk about Tinkle Paw, now you know why how much she means to me. And this episode was dedicated to her and to all of our angels and all of our pets and the ones who are still alive. Hug them tonight, and you never take anything for granted because you just never know. But thank you again so much. And to Smurgly out there, love you. Thank you for everything. Always thank you for your support. You guys are the absolute best and the reason why I keep coming back. And we will end it here with the song Lights. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. Have a great night. I'm Hollis Mahady, and you've been listening and watching Hollis-Tics. See you next time.
Thank you for watching Hollis-Tics, hosted by me, Hollis Mahady. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to share it with someone who might need it too. And if you'd like to support the podcast, you can visit buymeacoffee.com/Hollis Mahady. You can make a one-time donation or become a member for just a few dollars a month to get extra podcasts and exclusive behind-the-scenes content you won't find anywhere else. Or simply scan the code on the screen. Your support truly means the world to me and helps me continue creating independent content for you. If you like the music featured in this show, I license it through Epidemic Sound. You can head over to hollismahady.com, click on the podcast page, and use my link for a free trial. And don't forget to check out VOPUSARadio.com, where I host my music channel and am building a growing community of independent musicians. If you're interested in joining the network, just click Join Network and submit an application. Until next time, remember that you are loved and never alone. From human to human, big hugs. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy the outro video. I love this song.
Lights shining from the window late at night. I'm just watching someone else's life go by, wishing it was mine. Dreams, everybody has them at the start. Somewhere along the way they fall apart, and it makes it kinda hard to look up at the lights. When the lights go out, everything is clearer. When the lights go out, I could finally see what it's all about. Standing in the mirror, when the lights go out, it's you looking back at me. Try your best to hold on to the rope. We all have a reason to let go, and it's easier to do, but it's better if we don't. When the lights go out, everything is clearer. When the lights go out, I can finally see what it's all about. Standing in the mirror, when the lights go out, it's you looking back at me. When you wish upon a star just to find out it's a plane, and when you think you've come so far, but you're standing still again, and you finally understand. When the lights go out, everything is clear. When the lights go out, I could finally see. When the lights go out, everything is clearer. When the lights go out, I could finally see what it's all about. Standing in the mirror, when the lights go out, it's you looking back at me. Hope, try your best to hold on to the rope. We all have a reason to let go, and it's easier to do, but it's better if we don't.